Michelle Garcia is suing her ex-fiancé, Nicholas Byman, for breaking an apartment lease and physically abusing her while she was pregnant.
All rise.
Now it's case number 418 on the calendar in the matter of Garcia versus Byman.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Garcia, this is your boyfriend, or used to be your boyfriend, according to your complaint. He assaulted you, causing you to have medical bills. He made it so because of the stress that he created by his actions that you couldn't work, thereby causing you to lose your apartment and the lease. He owes you for the assault, for pain and suffering, for your medical bills, etc., etc., etc. Mr. Byman says that you were a nag, you bugged him over his drug use and his lack of employment, that you pushed him and things sort of got out of control.
Correct.
How long were you, Mr. Byman, together?
We started dating on February 17th of '05 and soon got engaged after that.
Are you engaged now?
No.
To anyone?
No.
So this baby is his?
Yes.
When did you move in together?
We moved to San Diego in April, and we were in a hotel room trying to find an apartment for 3 months, and then finally got an apartment on June 6th of '05, and we were there up until the end of October when we both were evicted.
But he wasn't living there when you were actually evicted from the apartment.
He was in jail.
And when was he incarcerated?
He was incarcerated 3 different times for
The last time?
The last time was October 12th.
The arrest was for an assault on you. Those charges were somehow disposed of, but he had prior arrest warrants, so he was held.
Technically, it was October 8th, and I had a court case in Sacramento on October 10th. After I couldn't make my court appearance because I was in custody in San Diego, Sacramento put a hold on me. I spent 10 days down in San Diego, and then finally they transported me up to Sacramento to take care of my case up there.
What kind of case did you have there?
I think it was 475 of the Penal Code.
Don't play with me.
It was intent to defraud, ma'am.
Intent to defraud who?
A bank.
Were you sentenced yet?
Yes.
To what?
90 days of work project and 4 years of probation.
Is that the only outstanding case you had?
When I was arrested one of the 3 times, they tested me for drugs and I came up positive.
How long have you had a drug problem, Mr. Byman?
Off and on for years.
How many years? 10?
Started smoking weed at 13 years old, so probably since then.
How old are you now?
26.
13. But you graduated from marijuana to?
Methamphetamine?
Did Miss Garcia, was she aware that you had a drug problem?
Yes.
Did she have a drug problem?
No.
That was poor judgment on your part.
Thought I could help him and save him. Move him to San Diego and get him away from the drugs and the crime.
Well, that's fine. You can try to save him. You don't have to have a baby in the bargain.
Yeah.
Now, according to what I read, Mr. Byman, in the complaint and in your answer, a lot of the fighting that occurred while you were together was because of your drug use and lack of employment. Is that right?
That was part of it, but just money was also a big issue.
Lack of employment.
Yeah.
And then you said something interesting in here. You said, well, at some point you went into a drug rehabilitation program.
Yes.
But you and I both know, Mr. Byman, that when you have a 13-year drug habit, a 10-day rehab program doesn't cut it. Like putting a Band-Aid on an open heart surgery. It doesn't work. Have you since gone into a long-term residential program?
Actually, I'm looking right now.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
So you want to tell me what happened in October?
In October, we had many nights where I stayed up trying to help him through his problems, and that night I had come down on him saying that what is something bad going to have to happen to you to get you to do the things that you need to do, and I can't marry you until you get a job. I'm on disability. I'm permanently disabled. And
what's the nature of your disability?
I have lupus, and I've had 2 major back surgeries. I've had actually 7 surgeries in the last 5 years, and so therefore my benefits would be taken away if I married him, and that was one of the major fights. That night he got very forceful with me, and
look at me.
I slipped out of his arms and got out and left. I left a message on the phone. I said, are you going to stay? I need to know. He never called. I decided that I would just come back in the morning. When I got there with my girlfriend, he was still there. He had slipped out the door. We passed each other and didn't say a word to each other. Basically, we were wanting to find out if he was using still at that point, and it was pretty obvious to me. I stayed there for about 4 hours, got some things ready, then took my girlfriend home. I was gone for about 2 hours, came back, and at that
time... What'd you
time...
come back for?
I had nowhere else to go. I was pregnant and exhausted, and...
Why didn't you stay with your girlfriend?
Why didn't I stay with her? Didn't even ask. It was the apartment. I thought he was gone. He left when
What
we were
makes
passing.
you think that he was gone? Just because he walked out then? He
Because
didn't walk out with
he
his...
was leaving. He had his stuff packed, and he was leaving.
He had stuff packed with him when he left?
Yes, he said he was leaving.
The only thing I had with me, Your Honor, was a laptop.
He had a backpack, suitcase.
All your clothes there?
Yes, clothes.
Okay.
All my...
So you went back, Miss Garcia?
Yes, I went back. My dog.
You went back?
I went back to my
You went
apartment.
back. Don't make excuses. Who is this?
This is my mother.
Don't make excuses to your mother. You went back.
Yeah, of course
Right.
I went back. My girlfriend did not have a place to stay for me to stay
Go to
either.
your mother's house.
My mother lives 600 miles away.
I don't care. Get on a plane. If you're afraid
Okay.
of somebody, that's what you do. You don't go back to the apartment, knowing that all of his clothes
I
and stuff
wasn't
is
that
still
afraid
there.
of him at the time.
Okay, so you went back.
So I went back.
Okay.
And he showed up. He was actually in the apartment hiding behind the bedroom wall and jumped out at me. And that's when he held me down, saying something to me, just listen, and was holding me down. He would pick me up and throw me on the couch, and then I would slip out of his hold, and then he would catch me and do it again, and then catch me and do it again. And that went on for about 45 minutes. I remember screaming through the window, help, help, at the top of my lungs, that I didn't have a voice afterwards. I finally... don't know how, but after he hit me in the stomach, I don't know if it was with his fist or with something, but I couldn't breathe.
Did you hit her?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I was able to run through the hallway. I had my keys hanging up in the hallway there on this caddy, and grabbed them and ran out the door. He followed me outside, down the stairs, and proceeded to want to hold me down. And then I think he realized that we were outside, and I was crawling to the car to get into the car to lock myself in the car. And my neighbor saw me, called the police, ambulance came. I was in sinus tac. Went into trauma for about 6 hours. They kept me over the night, watched the baby, make sure the baby was okay. It was about 5 months pregnant. So, which the baby's fine, thank goodness. But we have not been together since.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was trying to come up with the money some way, somehow. Couldn't.
Look at me. Don't look at the desk.
Sorry. Well,
You're still looking at the desk.
force a habit.
Don't.
And later today,
And when we were stopping off the sidewalk, she had booty bumped me and I fell.
Now, what is a booty bump? Show me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Garcia claims ex-fiancé Nicholas Byman owes for breaking an apartment lease and for an assault. Nicholas claims Michelle attacked him first.
Go ahead.
I've tried to get him to help pay these bills off. I've been paying them little by little what I
Which
can.
bills?
The apartment. I haven't started paying the apartment bill yet, which is the eviction and the attorney's fees and what we had owed on the last 2 months, or what he had owed on the last 2 months, actually. He never paid rent, not once. That and the Time Warner Cable, SD Genie, cell phone bills, you name it. I'm paying all of it. We still owe about $11,000 right now, and I'm currently just paying $25, $5 when I can.
Well, show me. Show me that you're paying them.
Let's see. Here's a bill for, I mean, there's just 1,000 of them. The bill for the TV, the bill for...
I don't want you to show me the bills. I want you to show me that you paid them.
Yeah, it's got receipts attached to them.
Great. Can I see it, please?
These are the receipts. Let's see here. Then I've got my ambulance bill. I don't have the hospital bill yet.
You have the medical bill there?
I have the ambulance bill. I don't have the hospital bill.
No. What I want you to
have
answer,
SDG.
Ms. Garcia, if you are on disability, which means you also have medical coverage based upon your disability, I want to see what the disability covered. You have Medicaid?
They haven't covered this. I just got this in the mail. And it's Medi-Cal, yes.
Medi-Cal. Well, then that has to be submitted to them.
Yes, it does. I think
Well-
he should have to pay it, though. Why should the state have to pay something that he caused?
You want a check written to the state, written to the
Sure.
ambulance? Well, that means that he's going to give you less money once this baby is born. Wouldn't that be stupid?
Yeah, like he's going to give me any money.
Wouldn't that be stupid?
Would.
All
yes.
right. Let's not play around with each other.
The bill
If
that
you-
I'm here for, the $5,000 bill, I have not started paying on this because I don't have the money. That's why we're here. I'm suing
What
him for
bill?
this money.
What bill?
This is our apartment eviction bill. We got evicted. There's attorney's fees. It ends up being $5,493. He assumes that I'm going to pay this. I'm not.
Oh, you're not. You're not. You're just going to pay half.
I've paid half since we moved into that apartment.
No. That's your choice, Ms. Garcia, my dear. That's your choice. If you chose to stay in that apartment and you chose to move in with him knowing that he had a drug problem, you were trying to save him, your saving him didn't work out, I'm not interested in the fact that you assumed the responsibility of paying the rent, despite the fact that you had an agreement that you were each going to contribute half. Just as if it didn't work out between the two of you and you had to stop working or doing whatever you do because you were pregnant, I wouldn't permit him to come to court and say, well, didn't work out. I paid all the rent. We had an agreement that she would pay half the rent. She stopped working. So I chose to continue to pay the rent. You even went back there in October hoping that it would all work out after you left the apartment and came back with your friend. Now, I'd like you to tell me your version of what happened on the 8th of October.
Actually, it started on the 7th. We got in an argument about the money that we owed when we went to court for the eviction. They gave us 2 weeks when we went to arbitration.
Hold on a second. You mean you were still together at the time that you were being evicted?
Yes.
Is that right?
We had gone to court during the first month that they approached us and put a note on our door.
Miss Garcia, you understand what I'm saying to you. While you were both still living in the apartment, the landlord moved to evict you for non-payment of rent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I paid
Now
half the rent.
Now it becomes clear. Go ahead.
Well, we got in an argument over what we were going to do. I was trying to come up with the money some way, somehow. Couldn't.
Look at me. Don't look at the desk.
Sorry. Well,
You're still looking at the desk.
of course I have it. I
Don't.
apologize. Anyway, we argued about the money, how we were going to come up with it. Things got loud, and she ended up just taking off for the night, at which this point I stayed the night, and she came back, like she said, with her friend, which then I grabbed just my laptop and like a jacket and stuff and just took off for the day. Came back around 5 in the evening, which point she started screaming and yelling, like, what are you doing here, you sick? I told her I was just trying to get my couple things and go, and that's when everything started escalating, and she slapped me in the face and then scratched the other side of my face, started throwing objects at me, at which point then I did restrain her from hitting me with anything else, and at that point she started screaming, help me, and that went on for a little while longer. Then she ran downstairs like she said, and I got arrested about 5-7 minutes later.
Okay, sir. You understand that you are responsible for half of what the landlord is owed. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, that's
But-
$2,718.
Well, I didn't pay for either the down payment, the first month, or the second month. My mother actually paid for all that.
And?
I think she's entitled to that, at least, you know, since
You mean she's entitled to what the landlord owes her?
altogether, probably, yes, because I didn't pay for anything, like she said. I mean,
I'm not interested in that, sir. Just let's understand that. I couldn't be less interested in what her mother put down, what she put down as a down payment. Those were their choices, understanding that you had a drug problem, that you lost your job the first week that you moved into the apartment. What you should have done was to move out the first week that you moved into the apartment if you weren't resolving your drug problem. I'm not interested in what her mother did and what she did. I'm interested in what's owed the landlord. So if what's left on the lease is $5,437.17, you're responsible for half of that. But the check will go directly to the landlord. You have to cover the rest. $2,718. Check will be written to the landlord. Do you understand?
yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The guy owes the whole amount.
Because I was just in a self-destructive mode, you know?
I can't afford it.
Didn't care what was going on, like, at that point.
I'm going to have to pay it, just like I paid everything else, so it's fine.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Beverly versus Mayo. Step forward.
Pamela Beverly is suing the mother of her daughter's schoolmate, Rhonda Mayo, for medical bills and pain and suffering. Pamela claims 12-year-old Jessica Mayo injured her daughter at school.
Miss Beverly, this case really involves your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there when this incident happened, but it is your claim that the defendant's daughter injured your daughter. You want her to pay the medical bills.
Yes, ma'am.
But you weren't there. You don't know. Let's have the girls up and the mom seated, please. Tell me your name.
Crystal Beverly,
How old are you, Crystal?
13.
Jessica May, I'm 12 years old.
Okay, Crystal, why don't you tell me when this happened? What date?
I think March 27th.
Were you friends?
Yes,
How long have you been friends?
since the first day of school.
So since September.
Yes,
And this was March, so you've been friends for a long time.
yes, ma'am.
You like each other.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me what happened.
We were walking down to the bus for dismissal, and when we were stopping off the sidewalk, she had booty bumped me, and I fell.
Now, what is a booty bump?
It's when you bump somebody with your butt, you go like this,
Just like that?
Yeah, except for she did it harder, and then that caused me to fall.
Show me.
We were walking, and then when I stepped down from the sidewalk, she went like that, and I fell. And then she walked over to the sign that said Crittenton, and I laid there crying, and then one of my other friends came up to school and helped me get to the bus.
It's okay. And you had to have surgery on your kneecap?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's hear your version of what happened.
We were coming down the stairs of the school in the afternoon. We were going to the bus stop. Then I gave her a booty bump, and we were still talking and laughing and walking. Then she tripped over her own footstep.
That's not true.
So you're telling me that you gave her a booty bump?
Yes.
You went like that?
Yes.
You weren't angry with her?
No.
And you continued to talk?
Yes, we were still talking and laughing and walking.
And it was later that she fell?
Yes, and she fell over her own foot.
Would you step up, please? Miss Beverly, I want you to tell me the exact conversation you had with your daughter when she got home.
It was on March the 24th, Your Honor, and she told me that they were walking to the bus stop and Jessica booty bumped her and she fell on her knee. I thought it was just a bad sprain, so I didn't take her to the emergency room until the day after.
You have the medical report, please?
Just the medical report.
What were your unreimbursed medical expenses?
It was $1,083.
All right, Miss Mayor, why don't you stand up with your daughter?
Your Honor, may I say something else?
Yes.
The day after I came from the emergency room, before I spoke to Miss Mayo, I spoke to Jessica to see where the story's the same. Jessica told me the exact same thing. She booty bumped Crystal, and she fell and hurt her knee.
Is that right?
That's not true.
Okay. You have anything you want to say to me?
Yes, ma'am. When Jessica had told me that her and Crystal were playing at the bus stop and that Crystal had fallen, I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." I didn't know how serious it was until after Mrs. Beverly spoke with me on the phone. And she did tell me that Jessica and Crystal were playing and Crystal fell.
Well, they were. There's no question in my mind that your daughter did not intend to cause injury to her friend, right?
Right.
But sometimes when you fool around, that happens. I mean, there's no issue that your daughter did not intentionally harm Miss Mayo's little girl. But they were fooling around, and she gave her
A tap. Yes, a bump.
and she fell. And she didn't fall afterwards. She's making up. She fell then. She didn't mean to hurt her. It wasn't an intentional thing. It was, as Crystal said when she first started, an accident. That's the way you described it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you lost your balance when she gave you that push,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Okay. That, Miss Mayo, suggests to me that you should be more than willing to contribute to the unreimbursed medical expenses that your daughter's fooling around caused. Because but for the fact that she gave her a nudge, she would not have tripped and fallen, and she would not have had this injury. Certainly, you are not entitled to pain and suffering, Miss Beverly, from the defendant, because I don't believe that this was an intentional act. I think that these two young girls were friends. I believe that in all probability, your daughter has done this booty bumping ever to other people.
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunately, nobody got hurt. Do you understand, Miss Beverly?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,083. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Accountant Sherry Ogden is suing her daughter, student Shannon Bentley, for a series of loans to help her get back on her feet. Sherry claims Shannon's house and car were seized in a drug raid.
All rise. Now, this is case number 501 on the calendar in the matter of Ogden versus Bentley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Ogden, this is your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, your daughter asked you for a series of loans.
Yes, ma'am.
She had gotten into some trouble,
Yes, ma'am.
possibly trouble that could have ended her up in very hot water. And she agreed to pay you back. She did not.
Yes,
and in
ma'am.
addition to that, you co-signed for a car for her. Car was eventually repossessed. She
Yes, ma'am.
says at your suggestion, therefore, she owes you nothing for the car. And your daughter says that you did, in fact, give her some money when she got into trouble. In exchange for that, she waited on you hand and foot like a slave, and if you had to pay somebody to take care of you, it would have cost you a lot more than what she actually took from you. Is that your
Well,
defense?
that's a lie.
Shh.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
That's your defense. How old are you?
I'm 32.
What kind of trouble did you get into, Miss Bentley?
I was picked up with the sale of drugs.
Drug sale.
Yes, ma'am. I haven't been charged yet, but I was picked up for that.
When was that?
That was September 1st, 2004.
Are those charges still pending?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a lawyer involved in
Yes,
that case? What did you need money for?
Well, whenever I first moved, my mom offered me a place to stay, to get back on my feet, to get cleaned up and stay out of trouble. And I took her up on it, and I had a couple hot checks.
What do you mean hot checks?
Well, I mean, I had written a couple of checks, and they weren't covered. I thought the money was in the bank, but it wasn't.
So you needed money?
Right. She offered. I didn't ask.
How much money did you need?
That was, I think that was $250 at that time. And there was also an incident where I was going through a divorce at the same time, and I had my ex filed telephone harassment on me. And so I also had to fine for that for court. I didn't ask her to pay. Again, she offered. I was going to come up with the money.
You were going to come up with the money.
Right.
How much was that?
$500.
Does your mother work?
Nope.
How does she support herself?
My stepdad pays our bills.
So she's married and she lives with her husband?
Yes.
So it really is the income that's coming into the house is his income.
Right. She loans it out to other family members just like she did me.
She offers it to other family members with the understanding that they're not going to pay her back.
Or that they will if they can, whenever. If they don't, she wants it right then she wants it right then.
Who are you?
I'm her witness, Robert Dillahunty.
How is he related to you?
He's my boyfriend. He was there whenever she offered to pay some of the bills for me and stuff.
Was he also arrested on these drug charges?
Yes, ma'am.
You have the same lawyer or a different lawyer?
Different lawyers.
That's a good idea. You understand why you have a different lawyer, don't you?
No.
Because eventually one of you is going to put it on the other.
Amen.
Well, that's going to happen.
They both
that's
lie
why,
like dogs.
That's why I have two different lawyers. So let's deal with the $750.
Well, totally it is $244.54 for your hot checks where you...
Okay, she said $250. It's close enough. What's next?
And the other one, I had just gotten out of the hospital on Wednesday night, and I get a phone call the next morning around 10 a.m. on Thursday from Robert Dillahunty's mother, Margaret Dillahunty, saying that Shannon had to have $404 or she was going to go to jail. Well, I had no other way to get it. My twin was sick. She couldn't go take it. I paid Mr. Deaton by telephone, and he charged me an extra $100 to do it.
Okay. Well, once you turned over the money, tell me about the discussion you had with your daughter.
Well, she knew she had to pay me back. I told her, I said, Shannon Michelle, I ain't growing money on trees. She knows she got to pay me back.
No, Miss Ogden, listen to me very carefully. I want to know what you said to her and what she said to you when you finally saw her after you paid this money.
She said, Mother, I'll get a job. As soon as I get my job, I'll pay you back. And as soon as I cash my stocks in, I'll pay you back. I've heard this and heard that.
Just a second. Did she ever get a job?
No, but she got offered one and she wouldn't take it.
Did she ever sell her stocks? What kind of stocks do you have?
There were some my dad, he passed away in 2002. There were some he had with Dow back from like the 70s. It was just a few $1,000s worth.
So what'd you do with the money?
I'm having them transferred right now into
To
my
what?
name because I was executrix of his estate. And Judge, I couldn't get a job because I pretty much did everything for her. When I moved in,
That is a lie.
I did
Miss
everything.
Ogden.
I did everything for the woman. I cleaned. Get me something to drink, get me a beer, get me this. She was constantly, it never.
So what?
How was her maid? How could I get a job?
Miss Bentley.
I did the best I
Miss
could.
Bentley, you're not there now. You're not taking care of your mother now. Why can't you get a job now?
I can. I'm looking. I'm going to school full time and I'm looking for work.
Look, listen to me. You have children?
Yes, ma'am, too.
Your children don't live with you.
No, ma'am.
They live with their father.
They live with his parents.
Or with his parent.
Yes, ma'am.
They don't live with you.
Right.
Or him.
Right.
Amen.
Ditto to that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your problem is that you've had a windfall of money. According to your mother, $375,000.
I have a house paid for. I have a car paid for. I have
Lupton Police Department has it.
And later today,
I got mad and I went and I took a baseball bat to the back window.
Who was in the car at the time?
Her daughter was in the car.
Her baby was in the car.
And I did not know that at the time.
No, I told him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Ogden says her daughter, Shannon Bentley, owes for loans she made while Shannon was trying to get clean. Shannon says because of drugs, she lost everything.
This is not the time for a 32-year-old woman to be in school full-time, my dear. This is the time for a 32-year-old woman to be in school part-time and working. Because if you have children who are being taken care of by their paternal grandparents, in addition to paying your mother back for the money she laid out to keep you out of jail, you should be sending support for your children. How's that for an eye-opener?
I agree. You're right. I mean, I've looked for a job.
You're not looking hard enough, honey. Anybody can get a job.
Thank you.
Anybody can get a job. Fast food, drying cars at a car wash. Anybody can get a job. Your problem is that you've had a windfall of money. According to your mother, $375,000.
No, ma'am, it wasn't that much.
How much?
It was around $250,000.
$250,000 is $250,000. That's a lot of money.
I have a house paid for. I have a car paid for. I have
Lufkin Police Department has it.
Shh. Listen to me, Miss Ogden. Don't speak.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say to you is, you got a lot of money. That could make you a real lazy behind. But you have responsibility. When was the last time you sent your children support?
I haven't supported them. I've bought clothes for them. And
That's not support. Support is sending their grandparents $500 a month. And I suggest that if you want to be considered a mother at any time in your life, you will start to do that. Get a job and start supporting your children. Because that's what mothers are supposed to do who don't have their children in their custody, just like fathers. But first, you pay your mother back $750 judgment.
Wait, I got $1,250 in there where I loaned her to. It's on there.
Is that for the car? Shh, listen to me. Was that for the car?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to pay careful attention to me and just listen to me.
Okay.
The car was repossessed.
I had them.
You had them repossess the car.
You know why? I couldn't stand it being in Lufkin, Texas because of her and Dopehead over here. Insurance could elapse on a Friday night. Well, I wouldn't know that Gates got it.
Look,
right? And then
I understand. Listen to me. I understand why you felt compelled to repossess the car. But there was no legal reason. There was an emotional reason for you to repossess the car. You said, listen, I'm not crazy about him. I'm not crazy about her. And I'm not going to be stuck with this payment because it could end up on my credit, so I'm going to call them and have the car repossessed. I can understand why you did it. But then you can't get the money back for the tax tags. All right, $750. I'm speaking.
$700.
Listen to me. I'm speaking. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $750.
But Judge,
that's all.
I'm telling you, listen to this tape right here. No, listen. She owed me $1,250.
That's it.
What is your excuse? You may step out.
You liar. She went through all of that money on drugs, and there's her dopehead over there with her.
I bought a house, bought cars. I mean, the money's gone. This is true.
She stood there and told her bald-faced lie. I don't even drink beer. She'd get up and get me a beer. She didn't wait on me for no hand or foot, and a man in the moon.
Well, she's crazy because, I mean, she's on. She takes so many pills, it's pathetic. She's nothing but a pill head.
You sold Vicodins and Zoloft and
My mother
Prozac to other doctors and stuff in Pasadena.
You know why she goes to school? She gets Pell Grants. That way she can live on it.
My mom has nothing to do with the kids. She can go see them on her own. She don't. She calls them occasionally. She don't leave her house, leave her pill bottle.
Well, I love her. I hope she gets her life straightened out. But if she can't get her life straightened out, she better stay out of mine, because I don't want to go to penitentiary.
I just don't think there'll ever be a relationship. There never has been one. There's never going to be one.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Finnegan versus Cooper. Step forward, please.
19-year-old warehouse worker Justin Finnegan is suing 28-year-old student Catherine Cooper for backing into his car. Catherine says Justin was illegally parked.
Mr. Finnegan, it is your claim that Miss Cooper damaged your car by backing into it.
Yes, that is correct.
And you want her to pay for the damage that was done to your car. Miss Cooper says that your car is, or was, I don't know if it's still in existence, an illegally parked piece of junk. Okay, where did this happen, Mr. Finnegan? No, listen to me. I didn't ask you to show me. It's not show and tell. Where did it happen?
We were at the apartment complex.
At an apartment complex?
Yes.
Whose apartment complex?
Her old apartment complex and my witness Matt's apartment complex.
You don't live there?
No, I do not.
What were you doing there?
I was visiting with my friend Matthew.
When?
September 20th.
2004.
Yes, that is correct.
Now you can go over to your chart and show me where your car was.
Okay.
You say your car was parked.
Yes. No, it was still running. I had forgot my wallet, and I was parked right here.
Well, that says driveway. It's written there, driveway. So you left your car running in the driveway. Where had your car been parked, Mr. Finnegan?
My car was parked right here.
That says friend's car.
When we had left, no one was there. That was where I was parked.
Okay, so that space, you were occupying that space, and then you backed out into the driveway, left your car running, and went back inside to get a wallet?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, now my question to you is, why didn't you pull back into the parking space?
Because we were just running in real quick.
Not we. Don't say we. You were driving?
Yeah.
It's your car, not we
That's
were
correct.
running in. And who ran in? How many people
I
did it
ran
take
in
to get a wallet?
I ran in real quick to grab the wallet.
So you were driving. So my question to you is, why didn't you pull back into the parking space?
I wasn't going to take that long. I was just running and grab the wallet and turn around.
It was long enough for somebody to hit your car.
She was backing out.
It was long enough for somebody to hit your car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Justin Finnegan says his car was damaged when Catherine Cooper backed into him. Catherine says Justin retaliated by breaking out her rear window with a baseball bat.
Then what happened, Mr. Finnegan?
I had grabbed the wallet, turned around, came out the front door, and we started yelling because she was coming close to the car. And
who's we?
Me and my witness, Matt, and I had another friend outside, and we were all yelling, "Watch out, watch out."
Just a second. Where was this witness?
He,
not we.
Matt was standing right here, right outside of the
He was
car
standing on the
grass.
grass. What was he doing there?
He had got out to talk to someone.
And she hit your car?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, show me.
Okay.
What's this house? Picture of a house.
That one is a picture of the pole.
What does a pole have to do with this?
I was just showing that she has broke that pole several times with her vehicle.
I want to see a picture of your whole car, sir.
The whole car? We don't have one of the full car.
Why not?
Because I just took a picture of
What's
only
this plural? What's a we?
Sorry.
I want to see a picture of the whole car. She says that this is a gray car that you've painted with house paint. Looks like that to me on this little thing over here, because that has to go to your damages, sir. Is this car painted with house paint?
No, it's primer. It was red.
Primer. Who painted it with primer?
It was primered when I had bought it. I was getting ready for paint.
How long have you had it?
I had it for a year.
Did you ever have it painted?
I haven't had it yet. It's sitting in the shop right now.
Why?
Because I was rebuilding the car.
All right, Miss Cooper, I'll hear you.
Okay.
That's part of the 20th of September, 2004. You backed into his car.
Yes, I did. And right after that happened, I got all his friends. There was more than that many people out, and they surrounded me, and they were yelling at me and calling me all kinds of horrible names. And I told them, fine, I'll just pay you. I was on my way to work. So I left after that. I needed to get out of there. There was a bunch of teenagers, and they were all partying. There's a lot of traffic in and out of the place all the time. And they all started harassing me, and the harassment never ended.
Okay, so you backed into his car?
Yeah.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it. There was a car parked next to me. I was parked in my normal parking spot, and I
see where you say your car was parked.
Okay.
Now, what happened then, Mr. Finnegan? She didn't pay you for it, is that right?
Yes. She had asked me to bring her an estimate, and she would make payments for it.
Fine. Did you bring her an estimate?
Yes, I did.
Was it a reasonable estimate?
Yes.
What was it for?
It was $670.20.
How much did you pay for the car?
I paid $2,000 for the car.
What year, make, and model car is it?
It's a 1990 Honda Civic.
Did you buy it in primer coat?
Yes, I did.
And you paid $2,000 for it?
That is correct.
Somebody saw you coming. So you gave her this estimate. Go ahead. What happened next?
And I had waited. She had said she was waiting on a check, and I had said, okay. And I had came back to her, and she had said, I don't have the money. I just started a new job. And I had waited another week or so, and I had came back, and I followed up each week about the money, and every time it was a different story.
Why don't you tell Officer Bird here what you did, sir?
I had asked her about the money, and she said, well, I'm moving, and I don't have the money. And so, out of anger, I got mad, and I went and I took a baseball bat to the back window.
Of what?
Of her vehicle.
Of her car?
That's correct.
Who was in the car at the time?
Her daughter was in the car.
Her baby was in the car.
And I did not know that at the time.
No, I told them.
Shh, 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 shh. Sorry. Got it?
Oh, yeah.
You got your anger out. And you were arrested.
That's correct.
And you pled guilty to vandalism.
It was criminal mischief.
And you were forced to pay restitution.
That is correct.
What do we think? Petrie Hawkins Bird. Evidently, Mr. Finnegan understands how to go to small claims court and file papers.
Apparently.
He even knows how to oversee drawing diagrams.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Finnegan, you think I'm sympathetic to you, sir?
No, ma'am.
You're right. That you're right about. And why do you think I'm not sympathetic to you, Mr. Finnegan?
Because of what I did was not right.
Correct.
In any way, shape,
One
or
thing
form.
was an accident, at least partially caused by your own negligence for leaving your car running in a parking lot where there are children around. Child could have run into the car, driven, hurt themselves, hurt a lot of other people because you couldn't take the time. You must have been off to a very, very important corporate meeting so that you couldn't pull the car back into the parking space, turn off the ignition, and take the key when you went inside to get your wallet. So at least you were partially responsible for what happened to your own piece of junk.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And instead of acting like a grown-up and saying, well, she's not paying me, that's not the right thing to do, maybe it'll cost me $50 to have my car fixed. Instead, you take a baseball bat to her car with her baby in the car sitting in the back seat and smash the window.
Yes, ma'am.
You think that a court is going to be sympathetic to you?
No, ma'am.
You're right. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You step out.
Telemarketer Linda Lindstrom is suing her ex-sister-in-law, daycare operator Janine Rivera, for the cost of a plane ticket, harassment, and defamation of character. Linda claims her ex-husband kidnapped their daughter and hid the girl at Janine's house.
This is case number 513 on the calendar in the matter of Lindstrom versus Rivera. Is it Rivera?
Rivera.
Rivera. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. Thank you. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Lindstrom, is your former husband here in court today?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Is that this gentleman over
Yes,
here?
Your Honor.
Miss Rivera is his sister.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Your former husband picked up your daughter, who was 3 at the time.
That's correct.
And took her to his sister's house in
That's
Texas.
correct, Your Honor.
You didn't know where she was for a period of time.
That's correct.
You ultimately found out where she was.
Correct.
And you are alleging that Miss Rivera kept her secreted from you.
That's correct.
Forcing you to get on a plane, incur expenses to go and get your daughter.
Correct.
In addition, when you got your daughter, Miss Rivera called Child Protective Services, making all kinds
That's
of
not true.
allegations. Shh. That's her complaint. Making all kinds of allegations against you that were ultimately found to be untrue, or the cases were closed as being unfounded, and that she has spread certain other, what you consider malicious statements about you.
Correct.
Miss Rivera says that she was merely trying to be a good aunt and that her concern was not with you, her concern was only with her niece. That's her defense.
Yes, ma'am.
When were you married to Mr. Tidwell?
November 28th, 1998.
And when was your daughter born?
July 23rd, 2000.
Do you have any other children?
I have 2 other children from a previous marriage.
How old are they?
They are 17-and-a-half-year-old twin girls.
Do they live with you?
They actually attend an all-girls private boarding school. I have full custody of them. They're home on weekends. It's in the same town that I live in. They live on campus during the week.
And when did you and Mr. Tidwell separate?
July 2003, after a restraining order.
Who had the restraining order?
I had a restraining order against him. That's one of multiple.
You have a copy of that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
There's one in July and one in September. Do you
I'd like
want
to see
both
both.
of them?
Well, this is an ex parte application. This is your application. I'd like to see where the court entered an order.
Okay.
Was there a trial?
He pleaded no contest.
So there was no trial, and he consented to the entry of the order of protection.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Is that correct, Mr. Tidwell?
That's very correct.
All right. So that's akin to a plea of guilty. Can I see the final order, please?
Okay, this is the order renewing it this year.
and it was renewed, I want to say, in part to the harassment of the defendant. It's written in this order.
May I see it, please? Mr. Tidwell, would you stand up for a second, please, sir? Why did you choose not to appear when the application was made to renew the order of protection?
No, I chose to appear, and I asked my lawyer to be there, and he chose not to appear.
Did you consent to this order being extended?
No, I tried to contest it. I was representing myself.
So you contested it?
Yes.
And you offered testimony before the court?
What I could get in without...
Whatever. You offered testimony, Mr. Tidwell.
Yes, ma'am.
And after hearing your former wife and you, the court extended the order for another 12 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you can sit down.
Thank you.
All right, you separated in July of 2003 as a result of these allegations?
Correct.
When did your former husband take your daughter from daycare?
He took her on September 2nd, 2003. He picked her up from daycare and left a Post-it note that he was taking her. He then went to Mississippi and then to Texas, where the defendant lives.
Okay. In September of 2003, was there in existence a custody order with regard to your daughter?
No, Your Honor, there was not.
At the time that you went in to file this ex parte application for a protective order, your daughter was still with you?
The first one she was.
I'm talking about the first one?
Yes, July she was.
And this was good until when?
That was a 10-day order. I did not show up because he threatened to kidnap my daughter if I, in fact, went to court.
Okay. But at this time, it says he was to stay at least 100 yards away. You did not follow through with this lapse?
That's correct.
Okay, I got it. Now, when he picked up your child from daycare, there came a time that he took her to your house. When was that?
He arrived at my house probably around September 7th, 8th.
Had you been expecting him? Is not an answer,
Yes,
Ms. Rivera.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. What did he tell you as far as coming to you with Autumn?
He was crying and screaming and telling me that the situation was just really out of control and he didn't know what he was going to do.
And what did you tell him when he said he was coming to bring Autumn to you?
Oh, I told him I'd be happy to see him and Autumn.
How long did he stay with you?
He stayed till September 14th.
And then where did he go?
And then he went to Memphis.
For what?
Tennessee. He was trying to find a job and get housing and daycare set up and get prepared for what was about to happen.
And he left Autumn with you?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm a registered child care provider.
I don't care whether you're a child care provider or Mother Teresa.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This was sent to multiple agencies in North Carolina.
No, that's not
I was
true.
contacted.
Don't speak! You took. No. I'm speaking! You didn't even hear what I had to say yet.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Lindstrom says after her ex-husband kidnapped their daughter, his sister, Janine Rivera, harbored the girl. Janine claims she and her brother took action because Linda is mentally unstable.
Okay. From when he arrived on the 7th of September to the 14th of September, did you, in fact, have any conversation with the plaintiff?
Yes.
Tell me about that conversation.
Oh, there were many. She had been calling me numerous. I have the phone bills.
Okay. She had been calling you at that point numerous times trying
Worried.
to find out where your brother was and where her daughter was.
Yes, ma'am.
And when he arrived, did you call her and let her know?
I had him call her and let her know.
Were you present?
Yes.
When he made that phone call? I'd like you to tell me what you overheard.
I heard him telling her to get some help for herself and get healthy for her daughter, to please go check herself into a hospital. Do something positive is what he told her. Do something positive to show me that you're capable of taking care of my daughter.
Okay. What information did he give you, Ms. Rivera, that suggested to you that the plaintiff needed to get any help whatsoever?
He gave me a lot of information over the years. And she's given me a lot of information over the years.
Let's go to what she has given you, not he.
Okay. I know has anorexic nervosa. I know she has a lot of mental illnesses, and she told me, you know, she can't fix her. It'll never be fixed. That it's a biological, chemical thing. when this first happened, I was trying to talk to her to make sure she didn't hurt herself because I knew he was leaving her. And he left Autumn in her care when he left her. He left her a month before this all started. Because she did on the 29th, she called 911 for the 100th time on my brother because he raised his voice or something.
Well, you weren't there, so you don't know what happened. But you have to remember that your brother admitted to being abusive, because when you consent to the entry of a protective order and you know that the issue of custody is lurking, you can either fight it.
Your Honor, he had bad counsel.
No, don't tell me he had bad counsel. But listen to me.
It's been a nightmare.
Listen to me. You know, I hear a lot of excuses, but when you consent to the entry of a protective order, you can't come into court and say, I didn't understand, I had a bad lawyer, and the fact that he went before a judge on the extension of that protective order a year later suggests to me that the judge found that he has a problem. He's a smart enough man to plan on picking up his daughter at daycare, bringing her to you in a different state, then traveling to yet another state in order to secure a job and housing. All that requires a certain amount of planning, not something that somebody who is mentally challenged does. Do you understand, Ms. Rivera?
Right.
Okay.
Your Honor, can I say one thing? During the month of August, in fact, Mr. Tidwell was out of the state, and if, in fact, these people were so concerned with the health and safety of my child, why during the month of August was CPS not called? Was a neighbor not called? Was the police not called? Nobody was ever called to check on the child.
Okay.
Never.
Okay. Where do you come from?
Originally New York. North Carolina is where my home state is.
Okay, so you were in North Carolina.
That's correct.
This happened in North Carolina. And is that where you were married to Mr. Tidwell?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So you removed the child from the child's home state.
Yes, ma'am.
You can't do that.
Excuse me, may I stand?
Mm-hmm. You sure can.
Thank you. I was planning a very short trip. All I asked Linda to do was to get some help while I took my daughter to a safe haven. And
Mr. Tidwell, did you tell her that you were taking your child out of daycare before or after you took the child out of daycare?
I had told her a long time ago she needed...
I'm not talking a long time ago that you told her she needed help. I'm saying that the day you came to take your daughter out of daycare, had you given your wife warning that day or the day before that it was your intention to pick her up that day?
On my daughter's birthday, I gave her warning that I would be taking my daughter if she didn't do something to get help. Okay?
Mr. Tidwell, you had a choice, sir. You chose self-help rather than going to court. You and the plaintiff separated. The child remained with her. You had at least a month to go into court in North Carolina and say, I believe that I am the more qualified parent. My wife has certain incapacities. The best interests of the child require that she stay with me. I'd like you to look into it because here are where all the records are. You go to Memphis, Tennessee, sir. How are they going to get her records and your records and the child's records? How are they going to get that?
Your Honor, I'm no lawyer. I didn't know what legal process was.
Sit down, Mr. Tidwell. I don't believe that, sir. You knew enough to get a lawyer after this trouble started, even though you say you didn't like your lawyer, and the lawyer didn't. Put your hand down.
3.
3 lawyers?
Exactly. 3 lawyers.
3, listen to me, Miss Rivera. Everybody can't be wrong. Everybody can't be wrong.
Your Honor, she's been in the system in North Carolina for years.
They even more, listen to me, even more important, Miss Rivera, because if she were in the system, quiet. If she were in the system, as you suggest, for years, then the courts in North Carolina, the family court, I'm speaking, the family court in North Carolina is the court to say, this is somebody that we really have to look at. She has a history in North Carolina. Why would you take her to Tennessee, where she has no history of being in the system, when you have a place that has easy access to those records where your brother, if he was the right person to be in control of a 3-year-old, would have a much better shot.
Can I explain?
You're not going to be able to explain to my satisfaction.
She's had counselors coming into the home while they were married. They've seen what's going on.
When was the last time, Miss Rivera, that you spent more than 2 days in their home in North Carolina?
I've never been there.
What?
I've never been to her home. But...
I'm just asking you a question. You're laughing.
No.
You've never been to her home.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Linda Lindstrom claims ex-sister-in-law Janine Rivera helped to kidnap her daughter.
Now, I want you to look at the objective data. Objective. Not what you spoke to her about, what your brother told you, what you surmise. This is the objective data. Your brother was married to her, lived with her in their home state of North Carolina from 1998 to 2003. He left the home in July, leaving his 3-year-old daughter in her care. 2 months later, without warning, he goes to the school, takes the child, and removes the child from the child's home state. Takes her to you, drops her off. Goes to yet a third state.
No, Your Honor.
Well, that's exactly what happened. That's what you told me.
He stayed a week and was trying to get everything in order because he knew what this
Getting
was
everything in order, Miss Rivera, you know. When was the last time that your brother initiated a petition in North Carolina Family Court to have regular visitation with his daughter?
I asked my lawyer to do all that.
But when?
I can't tell you because he hasn't been doing his job.
You have zero sympathy factor, sir. Zero to me.
That's all we've been getting.
Zero. Yeah, you don't get it.
It's not about us, though. We don't want sympathy. We want something for Autumn.
That's right.
Your Honor, I want to hand up to you this evidence. This is evidence that disputes the email, which I will also hand up to you the email. It's a letter from her daycare, from my doctor. I would like you to take a look at all this.
I have some too, Your Honor.
It all disputes the email that she wrote. It was a vicious, vindictive attempt on her. This was sent to multiple agencies in North Carolina.
No, that's not
I was
true.
contacted.
Don't speak!
Okay.
I was contacted by the guardian ad litem. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
When was the last time that Ms. Rivera made reports?
That email is the last one that I am aware of.
October 15th of 2004?
Yes. She called me deviant. She accused me of Munchausen
Your Honor.
syndrome.
I'm going to read it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Your Honor, I also have evidence.
Just a second. I'm reading something.
I apologize.
Who are these two people that you sent this email to? Who are those
They are
people?
with North Carolina Legal Aid. I was trying to get help.
Legal Aid?
Your Honor, can I show you why I did that?
I'll see what you have to show me
Yes,
that
ma'am.
inspired you to write this letter.
This is in her own words, and this is the letter. I don't know if you, did you have that? And this is show my intent. That paragraph.
Just a second.
This is to show I had no intent to harm Linda. Those are my own notes. I'm sorry.
So let me understand. What you did was you took...
No.
I'm speaking! You didn't even hear what I had to say yet before you said no.
I'm sorry.
Put your papers down. What you did was, not your brother, what you did was you took her responses to depositions that she made in response to a divorce action in February of 2004, and in October of 2004, you wrote this email and incorporated, because this is what you say the basis of your knowledge is.
No, ma'am.
You just gave this to me.
No, I'm sorry. That was what she was referring to. I gave you.
No,
the letter
madam.
I wrote on October 15th. I have bazillion letters I wrote before that.
No, listen.
When this first started, there are so many to everyone, to the President of the United States.
Listen to me. You're a nut. And your brother is a nut. I'm telling you, as a family court judge, I get letters like this all the time.
I'm sorry.
And the only time that I get letters, Ms. Rivera, the only time that I get letters like this, when the objective data suggests to me, I'm not saying that she's mentally healthy. I'm not making that judgment at all. Why don't you listen? Why don't you listen?
Yes,
the most important thing that I have seen so far is in 2 years, according to your brother, he has not himself, not with a lawyer, because you don't need a lawyer to go into the family court in any jurisdiction in this country. He has not himself gone into court and said, please, I am the better custodial parent, and I want to file a custody petition and or a petition to regularly visit with my child. Not according to him, once. He's talked to lawyers, they were all no good. He's had 3 lawyers according to you. Everybody's tried to screw him over. Nobody has represented him properly, so you have taken it upon yourself.
The devil is in the details.
I'm speaking. You have taken it upon yourself to embark upon a course of conduct
to help my niece. It's all about
president
Autumn.
of the president of the United States can't help your daughter, madam. A judge in the family court in North Carolina.
Wrote them. We call.
You don't write them.
Child Protective Services.
Miss Rivera, either you're thick, and I'm not suggesting that she's mentally healthy, but what I'm suggesting to you is that there's something wrong with you. Because right here in the United States of America, we have a judicial process, and the judicial process says that.
We tried it.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. You don't get it.
No.
Commercial fisherman James Lovegren is suing personal trainer Raymond DiNardo for misrepresenting the sale of an Incredible Hulk comic book on eBay. Raymond claims James got what he paid for.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 510 on the calendar in the matter of Lovegren versus DiNardo. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Lovegren, according to your complaint, you did what a lot of other people are doing these days, and you bought something off the internet. What you bought was what you thought was a rare comic book, rare and valuable comic book from Mr. DiNardo, who would put it on the internet. You paid him the money, and when you got the comic book, it turned out to be, according to you, not what you had bargained for. Mr. DiNardo says you got exactly what you bargained for. He sent you the comic book that he had, in fact, advertised on eBay or what?
Correct, ma'am.
What kind of comic book was this, Mr. Lundgren?
Your Honor, this is an Incredible Hulk comic book, number 181. To collectors, it's a rare comic. It introduces a major character from Marvel Comics, the Wolverine, which means nothing except to a comic collector. It makes it very desirable.
You're interested in this? All right, let me see the advertisement, please. They put it up on the internet. Somebody puts it on, so I have this for sale.
This is the actual eBay advertisement.
That's what I want to see.
Nice taste.
Okay. This says, Mr. DiNardo, and I just want to know if you put this up on the internet. 9.9, the rare, mint, sought-after original. Bidding has ended for this item. Starting bid, $1,200. And then the description. I am looking for a good new home for my issue of the Incredible Hulk, number 181. This book has given me years of enjoyment. I can only hope the new owner gives this treasure the respect and caring it deserves. Oy, oy, oy.
Obviously, I'm a novice. I'm not a professional. He's...
Okay, no, listen to me.
Okay.
All I want to know, sir, is this what you put on the machine? On
that
the
is
machine,
one
on the computer?
That is one of the items I put on the machine. That
okay.
Is not the one that we consummated for price on.
Well, just a second. We're not there yet, sir.
Okay, I'm just clarifying.
No, you're not clarifying at all. You're going to listen to me. You're going to answer my questions, because in the unlikely event that you think that because I don't know a computer from a hole in the wall,
never said that,
you're going to be able to fool. And I don't know a computer from the hole in the wall, but I do know legitimate versus scam. That's what I do know.
There was no scam.
Listen to me, sir. He sent you $1,200? No. How much did he send you?
$1,500.
Okay, so there was a bidding on this.
No, he had called me behind eBay's back, which is against the law.
Okay, so he called, just a second, so he contacted you.
Correctly. After I've took that off.
What was the date he contacted you?
I think it was November 15th.
Is that when you contacted him?
It would have been the 13th. I probably sent him an email.
Okay, and what did you say in the email?
The email basically would say, I see your comic did not sell, and I asked if the book was still available. He sent me an email on November 12th.
Can I see it, please?
The book is still available, and it's got his phone number on it.
So you called him?
Yes, I called him, and it was probably the 15th that we got together on the phone.
Okay, called him, he called you, whatever. You got together on the 15th, and did you make a deal for this comic book?
Yes, and I asked him, one, because I can see the picture of that book is a CGC graded comic. A comic like that comes encased in a clear plastic case. It's sealed in here. It is not counterfeitable. It has a barcode. It's registered with the company that grades it.
That's one that you have. That's not this one.
Right. That's just a sample comic, just to show you what it is. I asked him when I talked to him, now this is a CGC graded book at 9.9. He said it was. I said, and you have the receipt for that? And he said he did. That convinced me we were dealing with the real thing.
Okay.
We agreed on a price of $1,500 then, and I wanted to try and pick it up the next day. I called him back.
Because you realized, sir, if you made this deal for $1,500, that was an incredible bargain.
Yes.
Because the value of it was how much?
I figured it could be worth $20,000.
Okay. So you thought that you had some dumb guy who didn't know what he had.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
It happens.
I know it happens. There are a lot of dumb people out there.
Right, and I'm one of them because
right.
I sent them the money.
Because you got a piece of junk and he's got you a $1,500.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Go ahead.
So anyway, I tried to call him back an hour later because I had to arrange to, we're 6 hours away.
Let me ask you a question. Cut to the chase. You sent him the $1,500?
I wanted to drive up there and pick it up. That way, I give you the money, I got the book. It didn't happen. Due to my job and maybe his, I don't know, we couldn't get together. On the 22nd, he called up and talked to my wife. He said that he was going to send the comic down to us. If I liked it, I could send him the money. I said, well, that's an incredibly generous offer. On the 25th, we got a call back that said his wife wouldn't let him send the book. Not without it being paid for.
Sure. Right?
Can't blame
a lot
that.
of scammers out there.
Shh.
Sorry.
During that conversation, I said, well, I believed he had this book, that it was a 9.9 graded book. We arranged to wire the money, and that cost $109 actually, plus the $20 shipping.
Still would be nothing if you could sell it for 20 grand.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, my wife is sitting there, and you're thinking I'm a nut and stuff, but I don't spend $1,500 on a comic. I never have. In this case, I would, and the only way my wife would let me do that would be I said, look it, I sell the comic, you keep the money. So anyway, I proceeded to wire Ray the money.
Sounds like she's the only one who's got a brain here.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's already admitted
malice. Listen to me. No, he just thought you were a schlemiel. He didn't realize that you were a scam artist.
And later today,
her children were coming to my house because they were starving, and I'm not using the term lightly.
Where are your children now?
My children are in foster care, Your Honor.
How long have you been involved with drugs?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Lovegren says he was ripped off by Raymond DiNardo when he bought an Incredible Hulk comic book from him on eBay.
You wired the money, sent you the comic book, and it wasn't what you thought it was.
What it is just a strictly graded, and I could consider myself a professional grader. This book grades very good to fine condition. On a scale of 1 to 10, the 9.9 is on a scale of 10. This is about a 5.5. Its value is about $300.
And so you contacted him immediately and you said, send me my money back.
Yeah, I said, I don't know,
When you put this 9.9 comic book on eBay, did you or did you not own it at the time you put it on eBay?
I did not.
Right. How could you offer to sell something that you didn't own?
Because I was supposed to own it by the end of the bidding time, but that deal fell through. So that's where the problem is.
That's a big problem.
Correct.
You can't put something on eBay that you don't own.
Why can't I?
Why? Because that's
Dealerships
like
put cars on eBay that are on consignment. They technically do not own the vehicle.
Having something on consignment, sir, is having a legitimate right to sell it.
Okay.
You don't have a legitimate right to offer something for sale that you don't own.
Okay.
And they just so happen to say, I will sell you this 9.9, and it happened to be the same comic book that you had that was that one, right? Same comic book, different condition, right?
Correct.
Karnak. What are the statistical probabilities of one schlepper who knows nothing about comic books having a nexus to two of the same comic books, The Incredible Hulk, at the same moment in history, and putting them on eBay at the same moment in history, one that's worth $300 and one that's worth $20,000? 1 in 10 million?
More than that.
More than that.
They're
One in. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to my friend over here.
I thought
One in 20 million?
Probably more than that.
So now I want you, Mr. DiNardo, to reduce what Bird, who is a very conservative man, by the way, has calculated at a 1 in 20 million plus probability of you having your hands on the same two magazines at the same moment in history when he wanted to buy it. Reduce that for me.
Okay. Actually, it was a week apart, but I had no idea that somebody that had sold so many comic books would think that he would be getting a $1,500 comic book that was sold for $20,000. It just did. I assumed that he was talking about the comic book that I originally had sold. It just doesn't make any sense that he would think, oh, okay, this comic book I'm getting for $1,500, and I'm going to make $18,000 off of that. Does that make any sense? It doesn't. He went behind eBay's back, which is illegal.
Just a second, did you hang up the phone on him?
No, I did not. But he's already admitted
Listen to me.
malice.
Listen to me. No, he just thought you were a schlemiel.
Oh.
He just thought you were a schlemiel. He didn't realize that you were a scam artist. There's a difference between being a schlemiel and a scam artist. Let's say you go into somebody's house that's having a tag sale, and you see this comic book in a big old bin of junk that they say, listen, you can buy the whole barrel of stuff for $10. He says, I'm spending $10. This is worth $20,000. That's how a lot of people get paintings and wonderful pieces of antique stuff, because one man's treasure is another man's junk. You see, me, I wouldn't pay a quarter for this because it just doesn't appeal to me, right? Your wife wouldn't pay a quarter for this unless you told her you'd give her the profit, because she's just not interested. But what you did, sir, you see the statistical probabilities of you auctioning off around the same time two of the exact same magazines and one of the ads, putting down here. You have the other ad, by the way?
No, I don't.
No, you don't. You don't. Why wouldn't you have the other ad?
Because I moved and the computer.
Because you moved. Where?
It's on eBay.
Listen to me. Listen to me, sir. Move on this.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Can I have the comic book back?
Bye.
All these are excuses. You missed up.
Can I have the comic book back?
You may not.
Okay, thank you. Well, I had a client at work that was willing to sell me the book for $3,000.
I was told there is only one in existence. It's owned by a comic shop in Hawaii. Its asking price is $50,000.
Never sold a comic book, never used the eBay before, never sold or bought, and will probably not again.
It's all scam.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pope Joy Swihart versus Ward. Step forward, please.
Student Rachel Popejoy and her father, Dwayne Swihart, are suing their former friend, systems analyst Margaret Ward, for misappropriating bail money meant for Rachel. Margaret says she used the money to buy food for Rachel's kids.
Miss Popejoy, you were arrested.
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
On November the 12th.
What were you arrested for?
I was arrested for willful reckless driving, driving on suspension, and no proof of insurance.
And this was the first time you were arrested for something like that, because
Correct.
they fix very high bail.
Right.
And this is your complaint. You contacted your father.
Correct.
Told him you were in jail, and could he please wire how much money?
$1,500.
For your bail?
Yes, ma'am.
And he said, probably reluctantly, okay. And he wired the money because you were living where, sir?
In Michigan.
And where were you living?
Omaha, Nebraska.
You wired the money to Miss Ward, who was a friend of your daughter's.
Correct.
With the instruction to go to court and bail her out.
Correct.
And when you went to court, they said you had been such a bad girl previously that the bail wasn't $1,500, but a lot more. How much?
$5,000 at that point.
Which you didn't have.
Correct.
So Miss Ward took $700 and put it in your prison account so that you could, you know, get toilet paper and toothpaste and magazines and gum and whatever you needed. And she kept $800 for herself.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So that's what we're here for today. the $800 that Ms. Ward kept for herself. So, Ms. Ward, the ball is now in your court, and you're going to explain to me why you did not return the entire $1,500 to Mr. Swihart.
I first became involved with Rachel in June, and her children were coming to my house because they were starving, and I'm not using the term lightly. They were really hungry.
Were you neighbors?
Yeah, they live about 2 blocks from me.
So you started to give them food?
Mm-hmm. And so I did. I started feeding her children all summer. They came to me, and Shelby about moved in with me, and there were times when she and her boyfriend Jason would leave and they'd lock up the trailer. They wouldn't come back for 2 days. It's 90 degrees outside. They had no water and they had no access to a toilet or anything. They always came to me every time, and I took care of her children all summer.
Okay.
Then somebody called CPS on them, and she came to me and asked me for help. So I bought $250 worth of food because they had nothing, and it took quite a bit to put food in. And they didn't have any electricity and any gas. That had all been shut off. So I went down the following Monday, and I paid her electric bill was $186 so I could keep the food cold, and she promised she would pay me back. About a week after that, her boyfriend Jason came up into our house, and they were coming in all hours of night and day. They would come to our house asking for money, and he stole $225 from me. And then a week after that, he came up and he stole another $200 from my granddaughter. So after I couldn't put the bail money down, I mean, there wasn't enough money. She called me the same day and said she talked to them, and they said to put the $1,500, it was okay to go ahead and put that on her books. Well, I didn't really trust that, so
yeah,
after
but you put only $700 on her books at the prison, and you kept $800.
Yeah, for the money that they had stole from me and the money she promised to pay me back.
Where are your children now?
My children are in foster care, Your Honor.
How old are your children?
15, 12, and 8.
They don't have any relatives who can help take care of them?
I don't have any family in Nebraska, Your Honor.
What about you?
We live in Michigan.
That's not Mars.
No, they can move up there anytime they want.
Well, why don't you make an application to the court to take your grandchildren, sir?
They told me they wanted to keep the children with my daughter.
Who did?
The counselors.
Well, are you still with this boyfriend?
Yes, I am. And we're both clean and sober, have been. We go to meetings every single night.
For how long have you been clean and sober?
For almost 90 days, Your Honor. I've completed a parenting class. I've completed a reactive behavior. I've taken several classes.
Listen to me, my darling. How long have you and Jason been involved with drugs?
For probably 6 months.
And what about Jason? How long have you been with Jason?
For about 8 months. I've known him for a couple of years.
Listen to me very carefully. You're not supposed to be a selfish person.
You're right.
Do you think your children would be happier with their grandparents or in strange foster care?
With their grandparents.
Then you tell the social worker that you would love to be reunited with your children at the appropriate time. Now's not it. Probably until Jason has been clean and sober for 3-4 years. Until that time, the children would prefer to be with their grandparents.
Okay, Your Honor.
Okay, I know you say okay. You're not supposed to be selfish. Miss Ward, bottom line, my dear, you cannot resort to self-help. If you want to sue her for the money that she owes you. And if you want to sue Jason, sue him for the money you say he stole. But you can't take Mr. Swihart's money. Be ridiculous. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
All right, Judge Hughes, you may step.
Nita Mendelsohn is suing her son's former friend, 18-year-old Christian Luna, for slandering her on the internet. Anita claims Christian wrote nasty things about her on his MySpace page.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 401 on the calendar in the matter of Mendelsohn versus Luna. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Miss Mendelsohn, this is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, your son and the defendant and some other boys, maybe some of these boys here, were friends.
Yes, they used to.
Well, you say that they didn't treat him nicely and they used him for rides and stuff when they needed him.
Right, Your Honor.
But at some point, according to you, this young man posted some very, very rude things about you.
Right, Your Honor.
On something called MySpace.
Right, Your Honor.
MySpace is one of these internet sites where people who have nothing better to do with their time go and chat about a whole bunch of nonsense.
Right, Your Honor.
Is that about what it is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that about right?
Right.
That's about right.
You know, I always said that we could eliminate probably 1/3 of the problems in this country if people actually had to shovel coal in a furnace for heat rather than spending all that spare time that they have making problems for other people and sitting behind their computers doing things other than for which computers were originally designed. Mr. Luna says, First Amendment. I can post anything I like on the internet because there's free speech in this country. That is your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what you think the Constitution says, Mr. Luna?
Well, first of all...
I didn't ask you first of all. That required a yes or a no answer, sir. Is that what you think the Constitution says? That you can say anything you want to about anybody?
On certain grounds, yes. But I believe that I didn't write anything that really damaged her reputation as she claimed.
All right. Well, then let's see what you said, because I had no clue about what you said here. First, Mr. Luna, since there is no issue, sir, that you posted these things about Mrs. Mendelsohn on this internet site, I'd like to know why you did it.
Okay. Well, it all started when myself is
the same person, I assume, unless you're bipolar.
Me and my friends were talking just online, just joking while we were waiting for our classes. And then we just talked about certain stupid things, I know. And then...
You talked about stupid things while you were waiting for change of classes in college?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, we were online.
Who's paying for your school?
My father.
Your father is paying for you to
Yes.
be in school and talk about stupid things with your friends in between classes? Is that what you think you're paying for, sir?
Not really.
Good, perfect. Love to hear it. You and I are going to get along just fine. Go ahead.
Well, we were just waiting for our classes because
I don't care why you were waiting for your classes. I asked you why you said bad things about Mrs. Mendelsohn.
Well, it was just to relieve our stress and frustrations.
Why don't you get a job?
Well, I had school. I'm a full-time college student.
Well, then why are you writing about Mrs. Mendelsohn to relieve your stress?
Because beforehand, she was making comments about us, me and my friends, specifically.
Oh, on the internet?
No, like to her son.
So she was having a private conversation with her son about you and your friends?
Yes, and then...
She's allowed to do that?
Yes, but it was very rude and very untrue. And she assumed many things, and she would tell him...
Who cares? Who cares what she assumed? She's having a private conversation with a child. She's not publishing anything. Let me see what you wrote about her.
I have it right here.
Did your father see it?
Yes.
When did you show it to him?
About a month ago.
When did you write it?
October 26th.
So why did you wait so long to show your father?
Well, because, number one, I was trying to handle my own business. And then the month after October 26th, I actually forgot about the conversation, because that is a conversation between me and Derek.
You know what I find most distressing about this, Mr. Luna? Is that you're illiterate, and so is your friend, and that your family is wasting a whole lot of money sending you to college and getting an illiterate person at the end. Mr. Luna?
Can I say something, Your
Mr.
Honor?
Luna, did you read this?
Yes, Your Honor. I read it lately, Your Honor.
Stand up, sir.
May I say something about the case, Your Honor?
No, you may say nothing about the case, sir. You may answer my questions. First of all, Mrs. Mendelsohn, I have just read this.
Yes.
Okay? This is not actionable, which means that you can sue, but you're not going to win. What is written here, if I can read it,
Yes,
because
Your Honor.
it looks like it's written by somebody who was educated in some third world country where they only go up to kindergarten. Watch what W-A-T, you say about her, cuz, C-U-Z. She might come to your house, Y-R, and do crazy, and that's a bad word, I'll leave that out, like castrating you and sewing I'll use a different word, testicles back on backwards and sewing your foot and you with it. Okay? It's stupid. Do you know what? That's what you're complaining about, right?
Yes,
Listen
Your
to me.
Honor.
Listen to me. I didn't know what he had said about you. What he said about you was stupid. Nobody takes it seriously. Nobody's thinking you're going to come to somebody's house and you're going to do that to them. He's just being stupid. So it doesn't even amount to free speech. It amounts to the rantings of some juvenile who's just being dumb. Do you understand?
Yeah. And I was really upset because...
Well, I can understand you were upset, but
I'm
that's
not
not
an
actionable.
immoral
Now,
person.
was this young man your friend, Mr. Luna?
Yes, we were very close.
You say some bad things about him.
Well, it was jokingly.
Well is not an answer, sir. You say if you were very, very close. Why do you say bad things about him in here?
It's friendly banter between us. That's what we do.
Who was bantering here? Not him.
Well, it's between
No.
me and...
Between you and him.
Yes.
Not you and him. You weren't bantering with each other, calling each other funky names. You were bantering with him, and you were making fun of him. Mr. Luna, that makes you not a very nice person when you say he was a friend of mine.
Yes, but all of us are friends. We do the same things to each other. But
Does he have a car?
Yes.
Do you have a car?
No.
Who drove you around?
Well, sometimes Irving drives me around, sometimes my friend Manuel or Derek recently. But it's not like I'm...
It's not like you're using him or anything.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Irving, stand up next to your mother. Did you ever tell this young man that your mother accused him of using drugs?
Not exactly.
And later today...
You had a court date you don't remember? What kind of court date did you have?
It was actually court for his paternity test.
He has children?
Yes, ma'am.
Wunderbar.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anita Mendelsohn claims her son's former friend, Christian Luna, slandered her on the internet. Christian says he has the right to free speech.
Mr. Luna, your son did a disrespectful thing, but not actionable. So you don't have to worry. He doesn't have to pay Mrs. Mendelsohn any money. I don't know if he's a nice young man or not a nice young man. Only you know that.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
He's a nice young man. In fact, he helped Irving in his religion class, and he's kind of mentoring this guy. I mean, they were friends, Your Honor, and it all started...
Did you read this?
Yeah, I know, I read it. But it all started when Mrs. Mendelsohn tried to blame my son and his friends that they are using drugs.
Yes.
And she's trying to, separate his son from these guys who are nice people. I just don't know why Mrs. Mendelsohn is so mad at my son.
Maybe you want to tell me, Mrs. Mendelsohn?
The truth, Your Honor, is that I never said that they're using drugs. It was a lie. What I told my son is that because I saw a lot of this abuse from Christian sending all those messages against him, and I told my son, stop giving him a ride and transfer to other school. And I didn't mention anything about drugs. You're wrong.
Who told you that Mrs. Mendelsohn accused you of using drugs?
Her son.
He told you?
Yes.
Irving, stand up next to your mother. Did you ever tell this young man that your mother accused him of using drugs?
Not exactly.
What do you mean, not exactly, Irving?
Well, she said that she doesn't want me hanging around people who do drugs.
Okay, so?
And in that sense, that's what I said to Christian.
But she never accused Christian of doing drugs? No. That's your answer, Mr. Luna. What else?
I would just like to clear something out. I didn't use Irving to give me rides. I don't just randomly call him and like, oh, can you give me a ride to this so-and-so place? I would ask him a ride if we were going there together. But I've never used them just
Christian, I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
Having access to a machine like a computer and access to a place like MySpace where you can say very damaging and hurtful things doesn't mean that you should use it. When you write something like this, even though it sounds asinine, juvenile, and stupid, it was still hurtful to Mrs. Mendelsohn. It's not the kind of thing that the courts will take action about, but it's the kind of things that you shouldn't write about one person because it's just unkind. And you can't hide behind the cloak of anonymity when you do that because it's out there for millions and millions and millions of people to read. And it's hurtful. And I say this to you and to your friends and to you and anybody else who uses the internet. Once you put something down and go send, or whatever you do, because I don't use that machine, it's out there, and it's out there forever, and it's hurtful. You have to be careful. Now, what your son said about her was unkind.
I know that, Your Honor.
Very good. Then you tell him he did the wrong thing? Tell him to apologize to her?
In fact,
say, shh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Mendelsohn.
Okay.
That's it.
Just don't do it again, ever.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I agree with Judge Judy that what I wrote is obscene.
I just hope he will stop the abuse towards my son now.
And I agree that it was offensive, but I am really sorry about it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Corville versus Corville, step forward, please.
Tina Corville is suing her estranged daughter-in-law, Jennifer Corville, for an unpaid loan and car insurance payments. Jennifer says Tina's son is a deadbeat.
This is the son?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your soon-to-be ex-daughter-in-law. It is your claim that while she and your son were living in your home, you made a series of loans to her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Corville says that you made gifts to her because she was the only one working in her family. Your son wasn't working, so she needed some car payments made in order to get her back and forth to work, and some insurance payments made on the car. I have a few questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
25.
What do you do for a living?
I'm unemployed at the moment.
How long have you been unemployed?
For not that long, because I had a job January 1st whenever I had put her out.
Listen to me. Listen to me. How long have you been unemployed?
Since January 1st.
Of 2007?
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to January 1st, 2007, your mother says that you weren't working a good part of the time. That's what your mother says. Is she lying?
That's true. No, ma'am, that's true.
How long did you have the January job?
Not long, because I didn't even
Just
go
don't tell me because.
No, ma'am, I hadn't gone offshore. It was an offshore job, and I didn't have a ride to go offshore. That's why I didn't have that job. I hadn't
So
even
you
worked one
didn't have
day.
a job?
I had the job. I got hired.
When was the last time that you got a paycheck, Mr.
I
Corville?
didn't get a paycheck from them because I never worked one day
Mr.
because I didn't
Corville, I
have a
want you to
ride.
listen to, put on your listening ear, sir.
Okay.
When was the last time, month and year, that you had a paycheck? Think hard.
2006, and I can't give you the exact month.
Well, give me close to the
Okay.
exact month.
About the 10th month, or maybe even the 9th.
What would that be, the 9th month?
The 9th month
Yeah.
is September. Took me a while.
Good. September. Now, in August, who did you work for?
Pizza Hut,
Doing what?
delivery driver.
How long did that last?
Not long.
Why?
Because I was told I couldn't use the car to do it no more. I was putting wear and tear on our car.
Your Honor, that was our car at the time. I was a manager at Pizza Hut.
Listen, you know what kind of sympathy I have for you? Zero. You picked him. And not only did you pick him, but you picked him, and you have a child.
Not with me.
I know that.
Okay. I was just clarifying it.
You know, put your hand down. Sometimes it's better to be alone. Sometimes the loneliest you can be is when you're with somebody.
Yep.
Did you
know.
You know what I'm talking about? Now, your son, who is without a job, moves in with you with his wife and her child.
Yes, ma'am.
How old was he when he left home?
He's been in and out of home since he's 12 years old.
In and out of your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how did you feel about it when he told you he was getting married?
Didn't know the girl long enough.
But she has a job, right?
Yeah, at the time she did have a job, yes, ma'am.
Now, your son had no job at the time.
At the time?
At the time?
At the time, he did have a job.
Doing what?
He did sheet metal.
What happened to that job?
He had differences with the guy.
Yeah, the guy fired me because I asked for a raise.
And what did he say when you asked him for a raise?
He told me he didn't feel that I deserved it, and if I felt like I really needed it, I could go look for a job elsewhere because I no longer had one with him.
No, that's not what he said.
Yes,
He
ma'am.
said, I don't feel as if you deserve it. If you feel as if you deserve more, go elsewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, he didn't say that you can't have a job with him. He said, go elsewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you went elsewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Where'd you go?
To Pizza Hut.
Was that paying more than your sheet metal job?
Yes, ma'am.
Nah.
With the tips, yes,
No.
ma'am. Okay.
Now, tell me about this first loan. After they got married, they moved in with you because he's not working, right?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Were they paying rent in your house?
Not at the beginning, no.
Were they paying rent later?
When the second go around, they were going to pay rent. They moved in twice last year.
Fine. Well, the second time they moved in, did they pay rent?
1 month.
How much?
$150.
And who paid the rent?
My son.
What was he doing?
He was working for
Trim.
Newcom.
Yeah.
What happened to that job?
We had went and we had a court date for me and her both to attend to, and we asked the
What kind of court
instructor-
date?
I don't really remember, to be honest with you.
You had a court date and you don't remember?
Yes,
What kind of
ma'am.
court date did you have?
It was actually court for his paternity test.
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing to do with me.
But
For
we
a paternity,
left.
quiet. For a paternity test for what?
His second child.
He has children?
Yes, ma'am.
Wunderbar.
He has two, one for two different women.
Now, how much money in total did you give Miss Corville?
$958.
Tell me what it was for.
In January.
January of what?
Of 2006. She bought a car with her income tax. Didn't have money for the insurance, so I loaned her $200.
Just a second. Tell me about what she didn't have money for the insurance, and she said to you
she would pay me back.
Did you have that discussion with her or with your son?
With her.
Tell me about the discussion.
She said that she would help us, give us the money because of the fact he was out of work, and she didn't want to see us without a car because if we didn't have a car, we were unable to work.
Was he
And as she
working?
said-
Was he working at the time?
No, ma'am.
Did you subsequently get a job, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you did. Good. Where did you get a job?
That's whenever I went to the electrical company.
And how did you get to the electrical company?
She had brought me a few occasions.
Who did?
Miss Jennifer.
Your wife?
My wife, yes, ma'am.
What's next?
In May, she called me at work crying because she had a payday loan that she had taken before they were married, crying because she was going to get arrested. Could she please borrow some money?
Is that right?
It is.
Good. How much was that?
$305.
80.
That you owe her. Go ahead.
Then in September the 19th, their ABC insurance canceled. So they had to find new insurance.
They had to find new insurance.
She had to find new insurance.
Where were you working? You told me you were working in September, sir.
Yes, ma'am. That's whenever we were both working at Newcom.
Oh, okay, so you were both working.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were using her car to get there.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, good. Perfect.
So I paid her down payment for $155.
That's
for
fine.
the Geico.
That ensures that your son is working. Perfect. What's next?
Then in October, she was short $100 because they both lost their jobs. She was short $100, so to keep her car, I put the $100 difference in pay that she would pay me back when she'd find another job.
Why'd you get him to pay you some money?
It wasn't his car.
He was using it. They were a married couple.
No,
listen. Miss Corville.
I had lost
Your son
3
put her
jobs.
out of the house when?
January 1st, 2007.
Why?
Why?
What was my question?
I couldn't use the car to go find a job, nothing. She had stopped letting me use the car, everything. That was her
Really?
car.
And you had been using the car to go and look for a job?
No, ma'am.
Well, you said
hadn't
she
let me.
stopped.
Yeah,
let you
like
use
she hadn't let me. And within 3 months since we had been back over there, I had got a job and went to Houma. That was the only time.
So that's why you threw her out?
Yes, ma'am, because I was supposed to be leaving to go offshore and she wouldn't bring me.
Go ahead.
He didn't get a job in Houma. He actually went to Houma to get a job. He failed his drug test, and he was unable to work offshore. So he actually didn't
What
work.
kind of drugs were you taking that you failed the drug test?
None.
You mean the test was a mistake?
No, ma'am, I was going offshore.
So you didn't fail the drug
No,
test?
ma'am.
Would you like to take one today?
Doesn't matter.
She owes you for the payday loan. That she owes you for. For the car, consider it a contribution to your son. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $305.80. That's all. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Case administrator Tony Williams is suing her cousin, 20-year-old Sir Williams, for various household bills. Sir is countersuing, claiming Tony bleached his clothes.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 520 on the calendar in the matter of Williams versus Williams. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
What's your first name?
Sir.
Is that what people call you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Interesting first name.
Thank you.
Miss Williams, this is your cousin. According to your complaint, you leased an apartment with him, with one other person?
With him, yes, ma'am.
Just with him?
Yes, ma'am.
And your agreement was as follows, that you were going to pay the rent and he was going to pay the utilities.
Yes, ma'am.
The utilities were in your name. He didn't pay the utilities. According to you, he owes you several $100s for the utility bills before he moved out. And in addition, because he didn't pay the utilities, he ruined your credit, so you want him to pay additional damages to you. Sir says that there was never any agreement for him to pay the utilities, and in addition, this has nothing to do with anything other than a family dispute that you have, which caused you at some later time to come to his home, where he had moved with his grandmother, and you came and you poured bleach and you ruined his clothing and his shirts and his shoes, and you have some property that belongs to him. When did you sign this lease with your cousin?
Ma'am, I have the lease agreement right here. He signed it on the 25th. Actually, he signed it on 6/20/04.
Where had you lived before?
With my grandmother.
Were you working at the time you moved in with your cousin?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were you working for?
ABS Janitorial Services.
How much money were you making?
$9 an hour.
Working 40 hours a week?
Yes, ma'am.
Your cousin says that you had an agreement that you were supposed to take care of the utilities.
No, ma'am.
Why in the world would she sign a lease with you? You did sign a lease, didn't you?
Yes.
And you not have any responsibility to pay any of the bills at all?
No, I moved in with her. She said she was going to help me get on my feet. She was about to get a house built, and I was going to move out and get my own apartment.
But you signed the lease?
Yes. That's for my apartment credit, so I could get my own apartment. I wouldn't have that much hassle.
And when did you move out?
I got put out.
When?
the end of August, beginning of September.
When did you put him out?
Ma'am, actually, I didn't put him out, but it was in October. My cousin, we had a birthday party for him on October 2nd. He stopped by with his nephew, picked up some things, and that's the last time I saw him. I haven't even spoken to him since all this happened, to be honest with you.
Ma'am, actually, she did put me out. She told me, give him my house key, get out, and if you don't have all your stuff out here by Sunday, it's going to be scattered out across the apartments.
You lived there for 3 months.
Correct.
What did you do with all your money?
Nothing. I bought my clothes. I bought stuff that I needed.
And you didn't give your cousin any money?
No, I wasn't supposed to.
I didn't ask you whether you say you weren't supposed to. That's what grown-ups do when they have a job. Sir.
Okay.
They take care of their own responsibility. You know, when you were living with your grandmother, were you giving her any money?
No.
You giving her any money now?
No.
Are you still working?
No, ma'am.
Well, did you lose your job?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
According to my job, I had a lot of calls coming in from her and her friend that, they said that they were being rude with them. They used to call my job for unnecessary stuff like, I'm his girlfriend, there's an emergency, and all this other type of thing of that sort. That's what my job was told to me.
You got to start taking care of your own responsibilities. You have a girlfriend?
Yes, I do.
You don't have any children?
No, ma'am.
Take your girlfriend out?
Nope.
He was supposed to take care of the utilities?
Yes, ma'am, he was.
Tell me what you told him when he moved in.
Actually, madam, there's a history behind this. Back in 2002, I got out of the military. I'm in the United States Marine Corps. He actually lived with both my sister and I. We were roommates. We rented a house. We stayed there for a year. When our lease was up, we moved into an apartment. I was purchasing a home. Sir was with us the whole time. Yes, I was helping him out. He was my brother. He asked me if he could be my brother. We were raised together. She's my grandmother, too. We moved into this apartment. I was actually working. He was working for me when all this happened with EBS. I got him the job. I was in property management. I was taking him to and from work. The deal was I would pay
Was she driving
rent.
you to and from work?
Yes, she did.
I would
Go ahead.
I would pay rent because I made, more money he did. He would pay the utility bills.
What utilities?
The electric bill, the telephone bill, the cable bill, and also, madam, I got him a cellular phone in my name, which I'm not litigating against today, but those bills, which, totally conclusively didn't really add up too much. I mean, I was paying rent.
In total, for the 3 months that he lived with you,
yes, ma'am.
How much were those bills? The electricity, telephone,
the cable bill was $464.80, and the
$464?
$464
For 3 months?
and 80 cents. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of cable did you have?
Besides the cable bill, someone else, and it wasn't me. I don't know who it was, but they ordered movies or something like that. Fights, which I guess cost more money.
Did you ever do that?
No, ma'am. She ordered those fights.
Just a minute. What was the basic cable bill?
I think it was like $97 a month or something like that.
Is that possible?
Yes.
It's entirely possible.
All right, so that's $300. What else?
The telephone is $166.79, and the electric bill was $604.59.
What was your rent?
$720, but I also paid a wash and dryer, which was $35, and a water bill, which was usually about, I'll say, $30 a month.
So you were paying about $780, and he was paying about $350.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds fair to me.
No,
Sir?
She also had a roommate that moved in with her.
Who was that?
That was her friend.
My lover. But
Just a second.
Go ahead.
Well, if that's the case, then this doesn't look so fair.
She did not live there, but she was there a lot. Sir had his own room. She was in my room.
They shared rooms.
Well, I mean, that's my space.
They moved in. They said that they were going to split the bills, and
No,
whenever they
we
did
did
that.
not. She didn't.
No, don't interrupt
Yes,
him.
ma'am.
He's speaking now. Go ahead.
She moved in, soon as we moved to the apartment, she said, well, we're going to split the bills, and we're going to take care of this and that and other, because she was getting a house built. I was going to sign my name on the lease for 3 months. Now that she's not going to be able to get her house, I guess that's why she's upset.
This is what I don't understand. She was building a house, which means that she had to have a certain credit rating. According to what I read, these bills were in her name.
Correct.
And it doesn't sound logical to me that she would avoid paying these bills, purposely not pay these bills, unless she thought, I'm speaking, unless she thought someone else was taking care of those bills and risk her credit being put in the sewer when she was paying the rent, going to pay for a mortgage on a house, right?
Correct.
So what you tell me about your lack of any sort of financial obligation for your own living expenses or for part of them doesn't make sense, sir.
She was helping me out.
Doesn't make sense, my dear. Now, you want to tell me about the bleached clothes?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I says, I'm going to call the police. And she said, oh, hell no, you're not going to call the police. And she shoved me up against the wall with the bat and asked me if I wanted some of it.
Oh, Nana, please stop it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tony Williams says her cousin, Sir Williams, lived with her for free for 3 months. She is suing for $5,000 worth of household bills.
Madam, I have never bleached his clothes. As far as a clock, radio, and the stereo, my mother gave me that for my 30th birthday.
Okay. There came a time when you went to your grandmother's house.
Yes, ma'am.
You were angry with him.
I was.
You were angry with him because he didn't pay these bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any other reason?
No, I was mad at him because my credit was in the toilet. I got all these telephone calls. They were turning off my electricity.
So you went to the house and you were angry. What did you do when you got there?
I talked to my Nana, and I was upset. I was crying. I mean, I was very frustrated. She told me she didn't believe me. She told me that I was mad at her because of some girl between my sister. I have no idea. I started talking to my Uncle Robert, his dad. My Uncle Robert told me the same thing. I said, I have the paperwork right here.
What do you think that your cousin was angry about? About some girl?
No, we, that night when I got off work and I came home, she was upset. She was sitting on the couch talking about something about me and my cousin was at this other girl's house and waiting on my other cousin to come in. She said she called, she talked to my cousin, he told her I was asleep on the couch. She said not even 5 minutes later after that, her sister called, Monica called, and said the girl was just talking crazy to her, and she was wondering why I didn't stick up for her, why I didn't defend her. I said, well, I was asleep on the couch, so I didn't know anything about that.
You mean okay. Let me see if I can translate this.
It doesn't even make sense.
Your cousin was angry because she had heard that someone was saying bad things about her and you didn't defend her?
To her sister.
Whatever. Yeah. She was saying somebody was saying bad things and you weren't defending her. And your excuse for not defending her, despite the fact that she had been so good to you, was that you were sleeping on the couch.
Correct.
Now you got it? All right. Now, what happened when she came in with regard to your clothes? She came in, she spoke to her Nana, she spoke to your father.
I wasn't there.
Who was there?
My grandmother was there.
You want to talk to me?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's your last name?
Ruth Williams.
All right, Miss Williams.
Ruth Williams Caraway.
Do you remember when this happened?
Not exactly the date, but it started in September.
Now, I want to know when she came to the house.
Let me see, I got that wrote on it. It's been on it. Anyway, it was the 10th and the 4th, I think. She had first called and asked me where was Sir. I told her he wasn't there. She said, because I'm going to kill him. I said, no. I said, you're not going to kill him. Yes, I am going to kill him because he left and owed me some money. I said, no, Tony, don't do this. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And then she left. And then I talked to her other sister, and she was raving. She said, I love my sister. He do just what she get him. So I said, well, he's not here. And when she come over to the house, she just rushed in the house, fussing and going on, and went on into his room. Her mother was standing on one side of the door. I was standing on the other. And she went in, and he always put Clorox in his room because I'm allergic to it. And she taken a whole gallon of Purex and put all over both the bunk beds, threw the fan on the floor. We got pictures of those.
I'd like to see it, please.
And spread them all over his clothes. And I told him, I says, I wouldn't do that. I says, I'm going to call the police. And she said, oh, hell no, you're not going to call the police. And she shoved me up against the wall. She shoved her mama, too, but her mama said she didn't do it. Her mama was on one side, I was on the other. And she shoved me up against the wall and went and didn't hang up. Of course, I told her mama to hang up the phone so I could call the police. So she didn't let her hang up the phone, so I didn't get to call the police. So they went out in the yard. I called and told my brother-in-law to tell Sir, don't come home. I said, because Tony's over here saying she's going to kill it, and I don't want that in my house. They stayed at my yard about 3.5 hours, raving and cussing and dragging a whole box of these clothes out there and filled them full of water. And that's where they left her, and she went and got a baseball bat. She come back to the house. That's when I said that she needed help. She come back to the house and was going to run in. Her mama said, shut the door, don't let her in. So I had the screen door closed, and she just snatched the screen door, which I got a picture of that too, and pulled it loose and asked me if I wanted some of it.
Oh, Nana, please stop it.
I told her no, that she wasn't going to get in, to leave my house and don't ever come back anymore, because I've never had a granddaughter to disrespect me as much. She said, well, I'm going to get him when he come home. So her mother, her sister, and I guess that was her other lady friend. Anyway, it was a friend of hers. Said they stayed in my house about 3.5 hours, sitting out on the porch with a baseball bat, waiting for him to come home. So when he come, I just showed them the room. She showed I have a bruise on this hip, and my shoulder I can still feel.
Nana, please stop.
I told her, my daughter, I thought it was all over till he got a summary that saying he was going to court. I don't know why I had the pictures taken, but I had them taken because I felt that I needed proof to show that something had happened.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tony Williams says her cousin, Sir Williams, owes for 3 months' worth of rent and bills.
If you're 20 years old and you're working and you have a job and you have a cousin who before all this happened was very good to you, right?
Correct.
According to you, if I'm to believe you, she was really very good to you for a long time because you lived with her more than 3 months, right?
And I never paid rent. I'm
not talking about paying rent. That doesn't make you a star, the fact that you lived with her for more than 3 months and didn't pay rent. That makes you a bottom sucker.
No.
Now, listen to me carefully, my dear. She says that you lived with her before.
I never paid rent. I never was supposed to.
I understand you didn't pay rent. She said you lived with her before, which means she was good to you.
Correct. So why is she suing me then?
After I'm finished with him, have a big boy discussion with him. Maybe he'll get it from you. Maybe he'll get it from you. You have to explain to me, sir, why someone who has had a history of being nothing but nice to you, let you live with her, supported you, got you a job, all of a sudden would turn on you like that. You have to explain that to me. It doesn't make sense.
There's no explanation for that. I don't know why she did that.
Are you still in the military?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
You didn't have a psychiatric discharge, did you?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Not crazy.
She bleached my clothes.
No, ma'am, I did not.
Just a second. Miss Williams. Miss Williams, listen, look at me.
Yes, ma'am.
Angry. You were, I believe, your grandmother. You went to the house, you and a friend, and you were absolutely beside yourself for whatever reason. So I believed you bleached his clothes.
I did not, madam.
Showed them pictures.
Yeah, you probably did.
I'm sorry.
Probably did.
I did not.
Probably did.
I have a witness here can attest to this fact. Not only was it us, it was not another woman with me. It was myself, my sister, who drove me over there because I was upset. She didn't want me driving. There was a guest, a neighbor, actually, who came over to us, and we were not in the yard 3.5 hours. I was in there maybe 45 minutes. I don't know. I was upset.
Long time.
My mom was calming me down. I did not have a bat. Anyway, this neighbor came over to us.
I even had a friend that came in.
Sir owed him money. I'm guessing. That's what he told us. My sister can attest to this. I did not bleach his clothes. I didn't even steal my radio that he stole from me, that my mother gave me on my 30th birthday. And as far as those pictures, to be honest with you, I think maybe they staged that. I love my grandmother to death. Now, you have no clue as to how much you've hurt me today. You have no idea. And to say that I hit you, I would never intend to yell and scream at my mother, too. I wasn't even raised that way.
Just a second. So you're not saying that she hit you?
She shoved me.
Shoved you?
Yeah, up against the wall like that.
Miss Williams, I believe that you are owed a certain amount of money. I believe that your cousin agreed to pay for the utilities.
No, I did not.
Don't interrupt me! Listen to me. I may be wrong. This may be one of the few times since 1947 that I have been wrong.
It's not.
I'm willing to live with it, because if you did not agree to pay some share of the living expenses, I'm prepared to be comfortable in the fact that you should have. So I find that there was an agreement, and if I'm wrong, I'm prepared to live with it. Do you understand, sir? Sir? Do you understand that, sir?
I don't think I should have paid anything.
You wouldn't. Listen to me. Don't speak to him. Don't speak to him.
Because if that was the case, why would all the other times when I stayed with her, I wasn't obligated to pay any rent? Why all of a sudden now her bills get outrageous? Now she wants
Because
me to
now,
pay.
sir, you are a big boy. And you signed the lease. And you owe her $1,070.
Also, the lease says that I was an occupant. She was the leaseholder.
And you've got a big fresh mouth, so I'm dismissing your counterclaim. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
David and Janelle Rennie are suing Janelle's son, Keith Harvey, for car payments on a Ford Explorer and for a series of unpaid loans to help him get back on his feet.
All rise. Now, this is case number 447 on the calendar in the matter of Rennie versus Harvey. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mrs. Rennie, this is your son and your stepson, sir. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And, Mr. Rennie, it is your claim that Mr. Harvey owes you and your wife money for a series of loans that you made to him. And in addition, he owes you money for taking care of his 11-year-old son, who he left with you when he moved out.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harvey says that you volunteered to take care of his son and that this money that both you and his mother gave him were gifts. That's your defense. And you're sticking to it.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
32.
How many children do you have?
3.
How many live with you?
2.
How old are they?
5 and 3 months.
Is the mother of the 2 children also living with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you separated from her for a period of time?
Yes, Your Honor.
For how long?
Well, it's 5, 6 months.
And how much after you got back together again did she become pregnant?
How much longer?
Immediately.
You moved
Yes.
back together when?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, what? I know that you moved back together. When is the question?
Trying to think.
You were living with your mother and a husband, with your 11-year-old son. Where's his mother?
She lives in Jacksonville, Florida.
Anything wrong with her?
No, Your Honor.
Do you have legal custody of him?
No, Your Honor.
Who does?
She does.
Well, why was he living with you? These are not hard questions, sir. You should be able to give me a quick answer.
She's a deadbeat mother.
Well, deadbeat mother means she doesn't pay any support. That's
She doesn't
different.
pay any support.
If she has legal custody, she's supposed to have him with her.
Yes, Your Honor.
But he wasn't with his mother. He was with you. My question was why?
Because his mother's home got burglarized, and I felt it was unsafe for him to live there.
So when did you take him?
I can't think exact the timing.
What year?
It was 2006.
She have other children?
Yes, she does.
Did she ask you to come and take him?
Well, I felt it was best in his interest.
I didn't ask you what you felt. I asked if his mother, who was his custodian, asked you to come and take him.
Yes, she did.
She did? Is that
Yes,
right?
she did.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if he's not thinking right.
She demanded someone come get him.
In what month in 2006 did...
It was actually 2005. It was September.
And he came and brought his son to you?
In the beginning, his son lived with my daughter, his sister, and then in January 2006, he brought him into the home with us because my daughter can no longer take care of him.
Is he a problem?
He isn't with us, but he's very argumentative, and I think it's just the way he's been, from going back and forth. And his mother is not a very good mother. She never gave him a lot of attention and stuff, so he can be difficult.
Well, when you have 2 non-parents, it's hard to grow up yourself.
That's exactly right.
I'm just curious, Mr. Harvey. Well, you don't know dates. Your mother will tell me. When did he move out of your house?
He actually physically moved out of our house in February '06.
Leaving his son with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he still there?
He's still there.
How's he doing?
He's doing great.
Why don't you just keep him there?
I think that's what we're going to do.
Have you gone to court for custody?
Yes, ma'am. We have temporary guardianship and custody right now until the juvenile district makes it permanent. And that can be any time now.
Who pays support for him?
No one at this time.
Not him?
His father was paying support up until July of '06, which automatically comes out of his paycheck and goes through the court system. and the mother was receiving it, and she was keeping it. She was not giving it to us for the child. I have an appointment through child support recovery. We've already did one appointment. They're going in front of the judge, actually, to get child. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you should get that money retroactively.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
It
So
will
I
be
don't have to
paid.
deal with that. Look at how this is nice. It's going to be coming out of his pay retroactively to the day he stopped paying child support.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, perfect. So now we can move on to the other loans. Now, tell me about the other money, Mr. Rennie.
Good morning, ma'am. We financed a vehicle for him. When he went to jail in 2004,
What did he go to jail for?
domestic violence charge.
Against whom?
The girlfriend he's living with currently. The vehicle was refinanced at that time. The payments went on. He was making the payments. The June payment was not made. The June payment came out of my son's 13-year-old savings account because our bank takes it from where there's money. July's payment, he made half of. And he came to us in July and said, I'm going to be getting my own place in August. So we said, you know, contingent, you were supposed to come take your son in August to come live with you. School starts and he can be in the house and all that good stuff. August came, and I went to bring him there, and he refused him. He told his son, I can't take you, I can't afford you right now. So rather than make a stink, we just
That's
brought...
what you told your son?
I didn't refuse him. I told them that the timing wasn't right at the time, and as soon as I get on my feet, he'll be living with me. I was just trying to get ahead, Your Honor.
You don't get ahead by making another baby. You got enough babies. You had enough babies before you had this one. How many car payments did you make for him?
We made June's, the other half of July's, and August and September.
What arrangements did you make with him to repay you?
He'd been paying it all up until that point.
I understand that, sir. But once you pay, unless you have a contract with him to repay you, that's a gift. What about the car payments, sir? Why didn't you make the car payments? Too busy making a baby?
No, Your Honor.
Well, what were you busy doing, sir, instead of making your car payments? You were using the car, weren't you?
I've given my mom tax money out of my taxes, which I think should clear up that debt.
When?
It was in a period of 2 years.
When, I said?
The 2004, 2005.
Listen to me. Money out of your taxes 3 years ago, I'm not interested in. I'm interested in car payments that they made for you in 2006, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why didn't you make your own car payments?
I got behind on it,
What were you doing with the money?
paying rent.
And what was your girlfriend doing? Nothing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Time you grew up, sir, you made 3 children in your life. That makes you a big boy. Act like a big boy. Don't act like an idiot.
And later today,
Let's talk about the purple bedroom.
She said purple, but it's very dark.
I'd start painting if I were you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David and Janelle Rennie claim Janelle's son, Keith Harvey, owes for car payments, insurance payments, parking tickets, and a loan for rent.
Okay. What else, Mr. Rennie?
Car insurance from February to August of '06 was not paid, in total about $600.
Well, why did you pay for the insurance? Why didn't you just cancel the insurance, put a boot on the car?
The insurance was on our policy, and we were just trying to help him.
I understand that, but he didn't pay it. So why didn't you just go repossess the car?
We figured having a car was necessary to have a job, to take care of the children. We tried to help every step of the way.
I understand that. That's a gift, not a loan.
Well, we had to improve his policy on the car because he's a courier. So we had to add extra stuff. So he came to us.
And said what?
And said, Mom, David, I need you to add these extra coverages so that I'm covered under my job, and I will pay the insurance.
But he didn't.
But he didn't.
So why did you continue to pay it?
Well, we canceled that in August.
In August.
August.
Good.
So for July and August, we added more coverage.
Okay, and how much was the additional coverage for July and August?
It was an extra $40 a month.
What else?
In September of '06, my wife received a call from the police department. The vehicle was downtown.
Shh. You had the discussion with the police?
Yes, ma'am.
As a result of that discussion, what did you do?
His girlfriend was driving the truck. She had gotten numerous amount of parking tickets, which we didn't know, and they had put a boot on the automobile.
Sounds perfect to me.
So I had to meet the police officers downtown to keep the car from being towed into the lot and having to pay extra storage fees and stuff. Had to pay the tickets and got the truck released back to us.
So where's the truck now?
We have it.
Perfect. So you have it. You have another car?
Yes, Your Honor.
From where did you get another car?
Honda?
When?
3 months ago.
Where'd you get the money from? Why are you looking at me like I'm speaking some sort of foreign tongue?
I didn't need any money down. My sister helped me out, and she co-signed for the car.
Your sister?
Yes, Your Honor.
That your daughter?
Yes, ma'am. We tried to talk to her. We told her, you know, we still have the payments from the truck that we financed. It's $320 a month car payment. We still have to make that payment.
What else?
The tickets totaled $412. And in August, my wife loaned him money for his first month's rent of $980.
Why did you do that?
I don't know why I did it. He calls me, makes me feel bad. So I met him and I helped him.
I assume by now you've learned your lesson.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell your mother you would pay her back the rent money?
No, Your Honor.
You didn't. What did you tell her?
She told me she'd help me out at the time.
Were you working?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who were you working for?
Courier service.
And how much were you earning?
Roughly $700 a week.
And your girlfriend?
She doesn't work right now.
Why not?
Because my son's only 3 months old.
Well, when you're not working and you're home, you take care of your son, let your girlfriend go out to work.
That's what we're trying to do.
That's not a try. That's what you have to do. Time you grew up, sir, you made 3 children in your life. 3. That makes you a big boy. Act like a big boy. Don't act like an idiot. And I don't know if you're doing a stupid act with me or if this is really the way you are. I'm not sure. But I know that you owe your mother and your stepfather $1,472. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm very disappointed in my son. I don't like being in court against my child.
She made me look like a fool out there, and I'm not.
We put him in our house for 2 years, and the promise was, I'm going to get a second job. I'm going to fix myself.
Hey, we're trying our hardest. Working hard.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bugbee versus Lauderdale. Step forward, please.
22-year-old Brittany Bugbee is suing her ex-roommate, 21-year-old Amanda Lauderdale, for rent, damages to the apartment, and for painting her room purple.
Miss Bugbee, the defendant, who was a friend of yours, moved into your home when you had a fight with your boyfriend, according to her, and he moved out. You needed someone to help you with the rent.
Yes.
She agreed to pay rent, and it is your claim that she left owing you money for rent, and she or her boyfriend caused some damage to the house. You want her to pay for the damage to the house, and you want her to pay the rent that she owes you.
Yes, that's
Ms.
correct.
Lauderdale says that she paid you rent for each and every month that she was living with you, that she caused no damage to your house, and that I think that there's a room color that you don't like. What's the room color that you painted your room?
Oh, purple.
Purple. And that the landlord doesn't like the purple, you're going to have to repaint that, and you want her to pay for that.
Yes.
How long did you live with her?
From August, and I moved out November 1st.
August what?
I don't remember the exact
August
date.
what?
August 2nd.
And you moved out November 1st?
Yeah, that's not right.
When did she move out?
She moved out November 5th. That's not right. That's when you noticed.
Just a second. How much rent were you supposed to pay?
$650 a month.
Did you pay $650 in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, and I have proof.
I'd
I have
see
a
the proof.
bank statement here showing the check that Amanda gave to me, which was only $600.
Can I see it?
Yes. I don't believe I ever gave you a check. It was from your mother. It's towards the back. It's a check that her mother wrote to me for her rent.
For $600?
For $600. She said she'd give me the $50 later when she got paid, but she never did.
Okay. So that's $50 for August. What about September?
Actually, if you look through there, it'll show every month that I paid my rent for a $1,300 check, but it never shows any deposits of $650.
That's not what I asked you. I said, did she pay?
No,
did
I'm
you
sorry.
pay September's
Yes.
rent? Show me.
I always paid her in cash. I gave all my cash to Brittany. Never asked for any receipts because at the time she was a very good friend and I didn't think we would end up here.
Where were you working in September?
I was working at Nordstrom.
You work full-time at Nordstrom?
Not anymore.
So what do you do?
Right now I am planning on going to school. Right now I'm not doing anything.
So you don't do anything. When did you stop doing something?
I believe it was early November, probably a week after I moved out of Brittany's house.
Okay. So when she didn't give you any money, according to you, in September, what did you say to her?
She said that she hadn't got paid yet and that she was going through some financial problems. She was
With
my
what?
best friend. She owed money still to some electric companies and some gas companies from living in an apartment previously, and she still owes money to them as far as I still know.
What about October? She give you any money in October?
She tried to give me a check. It was a third-party check from her Nordstrom's,
And I deposited it into my account, but they sent it back to me, and I asked Amanda if she would cash it and give the money to me, but she never did.
Why did they return it?
In order to do a third-party check, she signed the check over to me, and I put it into an ATM, but I guess you're supposed to take it into the bank and show your IDs. You can't do it through an ATM.
So why didn't you do that?
Amanda said she was just going to go get it cashed.
I wouldn't have given the check back to her.
Well, I couldn't do anything with it.
Sure you could. You go into the bank with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you go into the, you just said to me that your bank told you have to take the money, go into the bank. So instead of giving it back to her, if she owed you for 2 months' rent, I would have gone into the bank. I would have made that little extra trip.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I guess I'm right. Now, she gave you rent for October, but you couldn't cash the check. She took the check and didn't give you any cash.
Correct.
And you didn't say anything to her.
I asked her for the money, and she told me that she would be giving me the money for October and November on the 7th when she got paid. And that was the last I heard from her.
Not true. Not true.
Why did you get into difficulty with your prior bills?
Because at the time I was living with a boyfriend, and I was the only one working, and I could no longer support both of us. So I moved out.
And when you moved out, the utilities were in your name?
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you owe them?
I never received any of the bills after I moved out. I have no idea how much I owe.
All you have to do is make a phone call.
You're right.
I know. I believe her when she says that you didn't pay her rent. I believe her.
Okay.
Now, why did you decide to leave?
Because she had told me that she was using cocaine, and that's why she had a miscarriage. And I just felt like her lifestyle was making me feel very uncomfortable. She was bringing home strange guys in the house all of the time, crying to me about all this stuff, and I couldn't take it anymore. I talked to my mom about it, and my mom said that it'd be a better choice for me to live with my mom instead of Brittany.
That's not true. I don't do drugs whatsoever. I don't bring strange men home, and that's so false. I don't know how else to put that.
Who are you?
I'm Wilson, her boyfriend. Amanda's.
Current boyfriend, not the one that she moved out on?
Current, yes.
Are you the one who broke the door?
No. I was there for the party when the door got broken. It was a Halloween
Oh, well,
party.
I want to hear about that. Stand up. How'd you hurt your foot?
Slipped off some stairs.
Where were you?
At a friend's house.
Party?
No. Just hanging out at his house. Had a couple stairs in the front of his walkway and just slipped down one of them. Twisted the ankle real bad.
You can take the crutch with you if you like.
No, I can stand it.
Great. You get no sympathy from me for doing that. You understand?
Don't ask for it.
Okay, tell me about this party when the door got broken.
Halloween party, obviously. I was at work until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Got there about 1 o'clock, and it was kind of out of control. There was a dancing area, and by the door that got broken, someone opened up the door really fast. It had little glass sections in the door. Somebody swung it open and smacked, the window broke. Brittany was trashed out of her mind. She had no idea what was going on. And that's what happened.
Now
I
I'll
saw
hear your
everything.
story.
All right, we were having a Halloween party, and a bunch of our friends were there, both of our friends. And shortly after Wilson showed up, one of his friends slammed the door open, and I was upset, and I said, Amanda, Wilson, make sure you get his phone number. And Wilson and Amanda both said, don't worry about it. It's Wilson's friend. We'll take care of it. They never did, and so now I'm suing for the amount.
Not suing them.
Well, Amanda said that she would make sure that it was taken care of.
Listen, you can't rely on that. Amanda hadn't paid you rent in 2 months, according to you. How could you rely on her saying, I'll take care of it?
It's true, yeah.
I don't believe you. Let's talk about the purple bedroom. Did you let her paint the bedroom purple?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you deal with it.
It's very dark. It's going to take 2 base coats to cover.
And I would start,
she did
Miss
a horrible
Bugby,
job.
I'd start painting if I were you.